How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 38 of the ControllerCast. I'm joined, as always, by my little trio entourage. We are the Three Musketeers, the podcasting Musketeers. I'm Russell Achter. This is Andrew Ihausen. And as well, I got with me Jonathan Bradley Wood. How's your guys' week been? Andrew, I want you to start off because you had a bit of a gaming Christmas yesterday with Uncharted, uh the fuck the Thieves Collect. I don't even remember.
Legacy of Thieves collection,
Legacy
right?
of
Legacy of
Thieves. Yeah,
Thieves collect.
yeah,
Yeah,
Legacy of
yesterday.
Thieves and Pokemon Arceus.
Yeah, yesterday was like one of those rare eclipses of my entertainment fandom. Last happening 2 years ago with Animal Crossing and After Hours, but now we got a Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection on PS5, buttery smooth, 60 frames per second.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna probably replay through that, or I started replaying through it. Um, And then Pokemon Legends came out yesterday. I had to wait till like 6 because Amazon took fucking ages. And then by the time it was 6, we went out and ate. And then Jordan wanted to play Mario Party, so I put 20 minutes in the game so far. But I plan on playing more tonight. So
Unfortunate.
yeah, it's okay. So yeah, this week's been not a whole lot has happened. My master's class in finance started, which finance not very easy, but we'll make it through it.
La Forge. He's the best.
Yeah, my professor, he's pretty cool. So
It's nice to it's nice to see Pokemon get like its fucking due.
yes,
And then
it is highly rated. Everybody I've talked to says it's pretty good so far. I mean, not most people that are fans like me haven't played through very much yet, just because it came out yesterday. But looks like from the early stages of the game that it's got a lot of potential. So
yeah,
we
and
shall see. I'm just glad to see a Pokemon game actually score like above like a fucking 70.
it's also nice to see Nathan Drake like Uncharted like 4 like get a second win because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
funny to it's still like I know I've said it before, but it's like I feel like that game is underrated because there's so many good PS4 exclusives
Mm-hmm.
that one like kind of falls under the radar sometimes in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I don't like is that now, like, because I wanted to get the platinum on Uncharted 4, and now, like, with the new trophies, because it's a collection, like, to get the platinum, you have to
Oh,
get all the trophies on Lost Legacy too now.
that's what you
So,
meant by I thought. Yeah, I was confused what you meant by like both games. I thought you were talking about both versions of the
yeah,
like
so, like,
Uncharted 4.
Lost Legacy is its own that
Yeah.
doesn't have a platinum anymore. And
Mhm.
then Uncharted 4, one of the trophies is to get all the trophies on Lost Legacy.
Bruh.
Oh,
So I'm
interesting.
like, and I was so close, and like, only some of the trophies carry over from PS4 to PS5, like all
Sure. I
like the
think
difficulty based ones, and like the the like speed run ones, like the ones that are really hard to do, like
they
carry
carry
over,
over.
but like the shit like the Marco Polo ones,
Oh.
and like shooting like an enemy with one each type of weapon consecutive, like shit like that, like all those
Mhm.
like kind of niche ones, those don't carry over, which kind of sucks. So yeah, I was like literally on the PS4 version, I'm like 5 trophies away from platinuming it, and then like now I'm like 45 trophies away, so that's great.
Fuck.
Ooh.
But oh well,
Now
it
go back to
runs and
PS4 version just to get platinum.
maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But the thing that's really cool is like the PS5 upgrades on it are like money, because the trophy tracker works perfectly. And like loading from, you can load into the chapter you left off on with the game shutdown, and it takes like, I sent a video to these guys, it took like 5 or 6 seconds to load from the menu all the way into the gameplay, which is fucking crazy. So
Like the PS5 menu.
yeah, from the
Yeah.
PS5 menu with the game shut down, clicking resume activity, and it pulling up the whole game and getting into the gameplay. And I guess, to be fair, this is the first like PS5 exclusive that I've gotten on the actual console, because I didn't get like Returnal or Deathloop or Ratchet and Clank. So like this, I mean, and even if I had those games, like the visuals on Uncharted make it hard for me to like imagine like how much like processing is going on in those like 5 to 6 seconds that it takes, because that's fucking insane. I mean, this shit's 1440p 60 fps and it loads like that. It's fucking crazy. So
I saw there was a 120 FPS option, but I don't think any of our TVs.
yeah, I don't. I unfortunately
see
do
the
not
option.
have a. Well, yeah, because you don't have a. You have to have the TV for it to be enabled.
Oh,
Because in the PS5 settings, it'll turn on like 120 hertz or 120 FPS, whatever the fuck it's called.
Probably looks next gen now.
Yeah, it does look next gen. It looks beautiful. It's something. The trophy tracker is really cool, especially like because there is one trophy. The one of the trophies that doesn't carry over is killing 100 enemies in a row.
Oh, but you can keep track of it with
yeah,
the
you can
cards.
like just hit the PS button and it'll pull up like how many in a row you've killed. It's pretty cool.
That's actually like one thing that like like Returnal and some of these other games, they have that like it'll load super fast. But I like the use of the cards that you were showing. That you can use like the cards to just like from the PlayStation menu to just choose chapter and like just
and it's not even like loading into the game, like it's loading into the gameplay. Like it's not going to a menu. It's like you click on it and it loads into the scene that you last left off on, which is fucking sick. And the loading, like I'm used to like The Last of Us 2 and like Uncharted 4, like their load times, or especially Last of Us 2, the load times on PS4 are fucking awful.
Yeah,
and
it's like a
literally
minute to load,
like
minute and a half.
you can boot into the game. There's no like the coin doesn't spin at all. It just shows the splash screen and then you're on the menu. And then you click the menu, click the chapter, and it's like 1 second and you're in the chapter. It like just goes black and then it comes into the chapter.
I remember Miles Morales, like where you like once you like press play from the menu, it would literally be like 0.1 second or whatever.
Yeah, like actually just starting.
Yeah, and I mean, especially like, and the crazy thing is like I played through like a couple like the later chapters because to load the trophies you have to like pull up like whatever the most recent save file is that you beat, so it'll like recognize them all. And I did that and I was like skipping cinematics, and like if you skip cinematics in Last of Us 2 or Uncharted 4, you're loading for like ever because they use those cinematics to load the next part of the game for you. But like you hit skip cinematic and you're like automatically like playing the next part. It's like, especially like me playing through half of Uncharted 4 before this came out. And like, I mean, playing through Last of Us 2 twice, the second time just speed running it to get the platinum. Like the reduction in load times like makes it worth it. I mean, I only paid $10 because I had the disc version because Ursel left it with me when he traveled to Arizona. I mean, you can buy the disc version of Uncharted 4 for like $9.99 and then buy the $10 upgrade.
Yeah, that's what I'll probably do. Like if I want to like replay 4, which we might, I might.
Yeah, it's much needed upgrade. It's a beautiful upgrade. Looks fucking hot on a 4K TV and at 60 FPS. So
yeah, John, I'm so envious. I mean, because you haven't played Uncharted 4 since it came out, right? And you didn't get too far into it, so you're kind of.
I got to like chapter 5 or so when it first came out.
Yeah, so you're pretty much playing the game like fresh, like, or you will be playing the game fresh at like 60 FPS all the way through. Like, and Casey is going to be seeing it like that. Like Casey's experience of Uncharted is just going to be 60 FPS, you know?
Casey's experience of every single game we've played together has been amazing, except for maybe Last of Us 2. Except it's still, I mean, it still looked amazing on PS4 though. Like it looks ridiculously good on PS4 still, considering.
I thought you were saying she didn't like it.
What?
I thought you were saying she didn't like the game.
No, she loved it. She loved it, but had to sit through those load times and
you're talking about like 30 FPS,
yeah. Otherwise, like God of War and Miles Morales, Spider-Man, even she got to experience in
you should be like
best way possible.
You should just keep it at 30 FPS for as long as possible. It'd be like, babe, this is what we had to deal with for everything until like a year ago. 30 FPS.
Nah. Dude, 30 FPS. I'm not gonna miss it in this generation. I won't miss it at all.
We're not totally done with it. Whenever we want to play some Switch games, they'll probably be in 30.
Yeah, that's true. Except
Breath of the Wild, Pokemon, like I think Pokemon is Is it 30 or is it 60?
Legend Arceus is 30, and you can
Okay.
definitely tell.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the I forgot to talk about, but it's actually one of the few games that I would like probably rather play in handheld, just because like when it's upscaled into like on my TV, like if I played in my bedroom, it looks fine, but when it's like upscaled on my 4K TV, like it's not upscaled to 4K, but like you can tell my TV is like needs something that like runs better because it's like
has a higher resolution.
Choppy. Yeah, it's extremely choppy to watch on there, but I do it in my bedroom. It's in my bedroom TV. That's like it's just it's just a 1080p standard TV. It looks fine. In handheld, it looks a lot better. So
it's so funny because
the SWOLED.
Okay.
it's so funny because everyone's like every review I'm looking at is like this is like the Switch Pokemon game that we wanted, but holy fuck, this game looks like dog shit. It's like the game is good, but the fucking graphics are fucking awful.
Hey, if they have the layout down for a sequel or like the next Pokemon game, as long as they have this like groundwork down, I think they can improve the rest of it around it.
Yeah.
Well, did you see coming out in like a year probably? So.
Well, did you see IGN's score, Andrew?
No, I did. I saw the Italian one, but not the American one.
The American one like just posted their fucking like score, and it was literally like it was a 7 out of 10, and I'm pretty sure they took 3 points off just because of like how they oh no, they said like it's fun, but then like it's empty. They just talk about it's fucking ugly. I'm like, Jesus.
I mean, it definitely looks a little. I mean, I was playing it last night on my 4K TV, and it definitely looked a little rough. But I mean, I guess as a Pokemon fan in the past 10 years, like I'm used to shit looking like dog ass. So
yeah, honestly, I think I will be checking out though. Honestly, after some of these games in February that I'm pretty excited for go by, like I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, I thought
because honestly, I'm not even gonna lie, I was thinking this game was gonna come out and have like a fucking like 70, like you said. Like I was thinking it was gonna come out, it was gonna be like a 71.
Even the score surprised me. I was like, damn, 86, that's pretty impressive. Just from like the 20 minutes I played, I definitely think it like I mean, you can like see the parallels to Breath of the Wild like just in the fucking trailers, but like even like all like the UI sounds and stuff are like extremely.
Yeah, the UI looks exactly like
the UI
like,
looks
it's got the
same
font,
and all like the audio feedback when you like select stuff sounds like the same, and it's got like the same kind of like piano background music while you're playing. But it's pretty cool. I mean, because like the first mission of the game, you have to like catch the 3 starter Pokemon that you get to choose like later in the game. And it was like Breath of the Wild. Like I was like Z targeting and like jumping around and throwing shit. It was pretty cool. I was like, damn, I kind of want to play Breath of the Wild after I finish this game again.
How'd they make Breath of the Wild look so damn good comparatively? I feel like it's so similar.
I guess they just
I mean, they worked on Breath of the Wild for what, like 6 or 7 years?
I think 5.5 or something like that.
Yeah, they had like 2 years for this.
Yeah, Game Freak literally put out a game in 2019 and then put their resources towards this, and less than 2.5 years later, this is out. So that's why I think that
it for the new Switch, or are they gonna just put out?
I mean, I'm hoping the next Switch has a backwards compatible.
It should be, yeah.
It should be. I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they laid good groundwork. I think maybe the next one could be have with some graphical improvements. I think it could be like not Breath of the Wild level, but like in that like lower 90 to mid 90 range, just because so many reviews took points away for just not looking that great. Anyways, John, go on.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, well, honestly, it was a pretty relaxed week compared to even like when we had COVID. I feel like we kept it really chill this week still. But Casey got some blood work done for one of her appointments, and there's no issues with the baby, so that's really good. For that appointment, they make you drink like straight up corn syrup, and it's to make sure that your body is like processing glucose correctly, so that because I guess in pregnant women, like gestational diabetes or getting diabetes when you're pregnant is super common. Well, common enough that they test everyone for it. But she didn't have it. Her blood work looked really good, so good stuff there. We also had a little date night with one of our gift cards that we got for Christmas. We went to Cheddar's, and it's always fire flame. This time was no different. We got like the spinach artichoke dip.
Cheddar's is underrated.
It is. It's like
and it's cheap too. It's not like super expensive. I remember we'd go there like when we'd get out early in high school.
yeah, it was like
Cheddar. We go there every so often still. Or me
it's
and
like
Jordan do.
Applebee's prices, but way, 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 way better than fucking Applebee's.
Dude, Applebee's is so
terrible.
bad.
It's
I went
like
there
bottom of the barrel.
last spring. I think my mom took us there, and I was like, we were all like, eh, like this is like, I forgot.
Fancy like Applebee's.
The only thing I'd get from Applebee's would be like their chicken tenders because they taste okay.
John, I do. Yeah, I know I meme on you about fucking chicken tenders and fries, but the chicken tenders and fries at fucking Cheddar's are actually pretty fucking fire.
They are fire. So we had got the like appetizer sampler that had spinach artichoke dip, queso, salsa, and chicken tenders. And
yeah, they're like these long ass fucking like
they're
spiky
so good,
looking.
Dude, if you get that meal that's like a steak and then chicken fingers,
that's like my go-to.
That's what I get every time. It's so good.
This time though, I got a bacon cheeseburger, and I was very surprised. That's the first time I ever got a burger from Cheddar's, and I mean, I would recommend it, but then again, I can't really say for sure because my smell and taste it's not 100% back yet, and it's been 3 weeks since I've had COVID, so it's ridiculous.
Oh, I didn't even know you lost your taste.
Yeah, I lost my taste and smell, and it's still.
I didn't know that either.
Dude, I'll literally pick up Augie's dog shit and I can't fucking smell it. I can hardly smell it. Like now I'm starting to be able to. Never thought I'd be so excited to smell my dog's shit again.
Jesus.
But yeah. Yeah, dude, losing your smell and taste is like it's not the worst part. It's not the worst part, but like when you're excited, you lose a lot of weight. When you're excited to like go out to eat and shit, like going to Cheddar's and not being able to taste everything, it was sad. But hopefully
tears were
shed.
Tears were shed.
But hopefully as days go on, it's gotten better, but like I haven't seen any like drastic changes in it. And Andrew, didn't you say like your mom still doesn't have like her taste and smell 100% back?
She does now. She had it over a year ago.
Oh, okay.
But like a lot of people that I talked to that did, like, I mean, obviously, well, like a few people at work like lost it. And then like when they got the vaccine, it started coming back for some reason. I don't know why, but I don't know if there's a correlation there, if it was just coincidental timing or what, but
yeah. Casey and I need to get boosted then. Maybe it'll get my taste back.
I think you have to wait a little bit after you actually have it to get a booster seat.
Oh shit, dude. This booster seat has been delayed and delayed like freaking Cyberpunk at this point. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But other than that, we've been keeping up with our shows. Watched the new episode of Boba Fett, aka Mandalorian season 3, episode 1. Spoilers.
The interlude episode.
Yeah, for spoilers' sake, Mando comes and fucks shit up. So.
Says spoilers after he's already spoiled.
Yeah,
literally gives no pause.
I know. I goofed that up, but hopefully no one's like a huge Boba watcher. That if you're that big of a fan and you care enough, you've probably seen the newest episode of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So hopefully anyway. And if I spoiled anyone, then comment on one of our posts and I'll give you
and share it with your friends so they know just how bad we are.
And then we've been keeping up with like Peacemaker. which is actually kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. I think John Cena does a really good job. Like, Peacemaker's probably the most uninteresting character, but they make it really funny. And honestly, I feel like they play into the fact that he's super uninteresting and like the comedic aspect of the show. And it's written and produced by James Gunn, so I mean, it's pretty good. I would probably like at the moment I'd give it like a 7.5, but if you're looking for some mindless stuff to watch, then I think it's pretty enjoyable. And then other than that, uh Casey and I did finish Cobra Kai season
Oh
4.
my god, yeah. Don't
So we
spoil it.
I think we beat you then, Ursel,
Ye-
unless you finished it.
We're on there's 10 episodes, right? So we're on episode 9.
Oh, okay. So you're
Yeah.
really close.
Yeah.
But that was fantastic. I mean, fantastic for what it is. I mean, it's over dramatic for sure, but I enjoyed it. We are almost done with Uncharted 3 finally. I did also with Andrew. I also got the Uncharted 4 Legacy of Thieves collection, so scored myself a free ticket to the new Uncharted movie.
Yeah. Now I gotta go watch it.
But I don't know how you get the free ticket because I didn't see anything in the game that was like, ooh, here's a code for Fandango or
Assume they probably email it to you
I would assume so, but
eventually.
I
Maybe
haven't
they're
seen
like,
anything.
So
maybe
what you
they're
need to
like,
do is you need to send your internet usage data directly to Sony, and they're going to monitor your.
and make sure that you actually want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
They're gonna check how many times you watch the trailer.
Yeah, if they
I
don't
hope
catch
it's good.
if they don't catch interest in your internet usage of Uncharted the film, then they will actually charge you 20 for the upgrade.
Ooh.
Take away that free ticket.
I hope it's good, honestly, because Uncharted is such a good series for the video game. But from what we've heard from Tom Holland and the character he's trying to portray,
Draggy?
I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried, no lie. But played a decent amount of Fortnite as well this week. We're still on that Fortnite grind. But that's pretty much it. It was a pretty chill week. Watched a lot of TV and played a lot of games. What about you, Ursel?
Yeah, so this week primarily, my life has honestly been starting to get really busy now. But because I don't know if I've mentioned, but I'm also back in school. I haven't so I'm essentially doing a post back for a computer science master's, which if people don't know what a post back is, it's like you're pretty much this happens if you're kind of like switching course, like switching into a different field to get a master's, or like you're trying to pretty much have a redo in your field to like get into like a graduate program, which is like you essentially go through like an accelerated track through some of the undergraduate classes, so they fulfill like some prereq requirements for the master's. So I have essentially like a year to like a year and a half of that, depending on how fast I go. And then I start my master's full on like next year, hopefully spring. So yeah, I've been going through like, that's been taking up like a good chunk of my time outside of work, like especially this week, where we're like, I have like my midterm next week. So it's starting to turn into like a few hours every night. So that's kept me really busy. But I spent, I was able to finish off, I was playing through God of War this week for a third time, actually. First time on PS5, but we'll get to that.
That was
that's
my
obviously
first time.
Yeah, why'd you play through that? That's weird.
Yeah.
just kind of had the urge,
Yeah.
But in terms of games, really, yeah, I played a little bit of Fortnite, but I haven't had that much time to play games this week, surprisingly, which is like, I feel like the first time I've said that in my life. But
yeah, I played through all of God of War, not very much time.
To be fair, I was near the
kid.
end. Yeah. But yeah, besides that, oh yeah, of course, watching Cobra Kai. Going a little bit slower because the people that I watch it with, the two people, that are here, like that I live with currently, they come back at like 9 or 10 sometimes, and that's like that's like our only opportunity to watch the show, and that's like, so sometimes we really do only get to watch one episode a night, and then we all just hit the hay. Sometimes zero. But so yeah, I've been a little bit slower. And John actually has out fucking beat my ass to the finish line.
Oh, dude.
And
you got my ass on video games, but when it comes to TV, Casey and I would binge.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of funny how that works. But I do enjoy the season. I think it's better than season 2 for sure. I don't know where it will rank amongst the other 2 seasons, like between 3 and 1. But there, I will just say I think it's really good. There's just this one B plot that I think is just so fucking like why are they making this a fucking plot line? And it's the one with like LaRusso's wife Amanda and fucking the girl fucking Tori and Amanda. I'm like, this shit is so stupid. Why are you trying to make this like this sympathy plot line? Like, I was like,
yeah,
I mean, I haven't finished it, so maybe there might be some grand payoff to it. It's gonna some crazy shit's gonna happen. But anytime that shit starts happening, I'm always like, the fucking B plot kicks in. Like this shit sucks.
Yeah, dude. The music slows and like, yeah.
And they also the music slows. Like it's super
like do like piano music, sad piano.
Like when she was on this most recent episode I watched, where she was like, I used to be a kid like her because I like smashed like my fucking
math tutor's car
with like a baseball bat. I was like, kind of cringing at this.
There's honestly a lot of cringe to it, but there's a big cringe factor, I would say.
Yeah, but I've been actually, I need to like go back and just like watch the Karate Kid movies, because they're talking about like Terry Silver, like he's this like Joker ass motherfucker, and it's like, and I was like, honestly, everything I've been watching up to this point, Terry Silver is kind of seems like he has more of a head on his shoulders than fucking Kreese. But but
I won't spoil anything. But yeah, we'll see. I would agree with you.
I will probably finish the show today, honestly, if I have to make a bet. Which I don't know if you guys know, we're actually recording on Saturday today. Usually we record on Sunday. But besides that, that's one thing I want to say. I'm slowly turning into one of those motherfuckers that I hated in college, that like would not stop talking or like thinking about fucking school when they're like out and about. And I feel like I am turning into those motherfuckers because
that's how I was, dude.
No, but like not like in a bad way where I'm like oh my god, school fucking sucks, like god damn it, this shit's so like stressful. It was like, it's literally like, like how do I fucking like how do I like fix this fucking program? Like I'm like genuinely like inquisitive about it. I actually I've been texting Ben Giebelhausen, one of our good friends, and I was just telling him like, yeah, hey, like I'm doing my post back for it, like, and I was like, I think I got the coding bug, because whenever I'm writing code and I don't finish it and I'm like out and about, that's like the main thing that's on my mind, is like, god, I want to like get back and see how I can like solve this problem, essentially, this puzzle of like writing this code.
That's actually dope. I mean, like you could be passionate about it. I hope that's where it's going.
Yeah. Which to me, I view it as a good sign. Like when I what is it, like, not going too in depth with like some of my college struggles, but I never really had that with anything that I feel like I never really had something like an experience like that, or that feeling with something in undergrad. So it's kind of a new feeling. It's one that I kind of like. I'm excited to keep going, but it's a long road ahead. But
I'm the guy I'm the one slacker on the pod not going for his master's, but I'm just hoping maybe I can ride your back on a referral to work at Naughty Dog or Rockstar, Nintendo, Sony, PlayStation, something.
Pretty much my end goal is like, I would love to get like a comp sci like degree, and I would love to like go into I mean really any entertainment field, but I would dream job, I would love to like be able to work at like a a game studio and work on a game, because I feel like I have a really good understanding and like passion for that, and I feel like I would love to be in that field. So do what you love, you know.
Absolutely.
So that's yeah. So but yeah, kind of going off of that, that's kind of been my week essentially. Nothing too crazy, but some shraggy levels of shit when just going right into the current events, which is the only current events I think really for this week, unless you guys have something else that you can think of, was that Donda 2 got announced. So
the first announcement, the
yes.
first date. We got the first date.
Yeah, so this one, so it's Donda 2, the sequel to Donda, album we reviewed. Actually, go check out our episode. And it's coming out on February 22nd, 2022, same day as Elden Ring. So that'll be a little Andrew moment for me. And it's executive produced by Future, which is super interesting. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on this? What do you want out of this album? / what are you expecting it to sound like? I have a feeling it's not going to sound very Christ-like. If if
No
Future's
gospel.
If the album cover is a house on fire, I don't think it'll be the same.
I'm not too surprised that he's like kind of gearing up for another album rollout, because I feel like with like the shit with him and fucking Pete Davidson and Kim, and like now Julia Fox, and I feel like there's a lot. And then there's the Kanye documentary coming out on Netflix like in a month or so. Like I feel like there's
Davidson
a lot.
just gets his grubby little depressed hands into everything, dude. It's crazy. I don't understand. He looks like a horse, dude.
He just pipes
Pete
down.
Davidson's funny as fuck, dude.
I don't really follow him enough. I just know what he looks like, and he's one ugly.
He's like the only reason SNL isn't like a 1 out of 10, and it's like a 2 out of 10 instead.
Is he like permanently on SNL? I didn't know if he was like a guest.
No, he's like
he's on the cast.
Yeah, he's that's like his thing. Like
yeah,
that's like yeah.
And his movie King of Staten Island was actually really funny too. But what the
I've heard
fuck? Why is Kanye going around saying that Pete Davidson has fucking AIDS?
Wait, what?
That's weird.
I did not.
Yeah, yesterday there was a story. I didn't even think of this until we brought up Kanye. Kanye has been like telling people that Pete Davidson has fucking AIDS or something. And
what the fuck?
I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, Kanye West spreading rumor that Pete Davidson has AIDS. So like
Davidson has AIDS.
Pete Davidson's friends have been like calling him, asking him when he was diagnosed with AIDS and why Kanye knows about it.
And so Pete's like, I don't know what he's talking about. Like,
I just want to like unpack this whole thing, because I feel like there's a lot going on here with this potential album. With this album, like I feel like Kanye is handling this divorce like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, facts.
I thought with how many kids that they had, that like they would actually be one of those celebrity power couples that lasts. I can't think of another
this guy.
example.
Do you think he gives a fuck if somebody says that he has AIDS?
He's so ugly, dude.
Yeah, the podcast is a visual medium, guys.
Yeah.
He just always looks so like anything bad happens, just like, okay.
Like I am actually kind of worried about the quality of this album, given like Kanye's state of mind and the fact that it's coming out so soon after Donda.
And the fact that single that he put out was just like absolute dog ass.
Yeah, like it might as well have just been him screaming. Like the Meek Mill diss track on Drake. Like that might as well have been
Pete Davidson diss track.
Oh God.
God save me from the crash so I could kick Pete Davidson's ass.
I do think it's going to be a lot more rappy than like Donda, because I feel like Donda, like there was a lot of good rap in it, but it was definitely more like gospel-y feeling, sing-songy. I think there will be less of that, but who knows? I mean, it's a direct sequel.
What do you think of how toxic? What are on a scale of 1 to 10? How toxic is this album going to be with Future fucking producing it? You know, Kanye on his fuck Kim shit. Like literally, I'll go on Twitter or Instagram and I see a photo of him like tongue fucking like Julia Fox like every couple days. And, like damn, bro, you really want Kim to know that you've moved on, I guess. I feel like he's being really obnoxious about it, but that's like Kanye in general.
Dude, he has not moved on. You can't move on from dude. He's had three kids with
Kids,
her.
4 kids,
Br-
yeah.
Bruh, north, south, east, and west. um, I don't know, dude. I feel like it's gonna be like an 8 on the toxic scale. But I hope I hope he keeps the dissing to like a minimum, or keeps it just like low key and like kind of hidden behind the lyrics. But I don't
Well,
know.
like on his
I don't know
song
what to
that he
expect from
is
Kanye because his mental state is obviously like
all over
Joker
the place.
levels. He's
Yeah.
on some Riddler level of mental state.
Well, like it's like how is this gonna like if he's going on some like scorch earth kind of shit, like bro, on his song that he put out with the game, like dude was literally dissing fucking his kids. He was like, my kids are fucking spoiled and like all this shit like that. I'm like, bro, how's that gonna look when your kids grow up? And like imagine if Donda 2 comes out, it's just shitting on his family. It's like, bro, how is that
That
gonna
is
look to your fucking
disgusting.
kids? Like that's gonna be disgusting. But
Yeah, Kanye's down bad if that's the direction he's going.
yeah.
But it's a house burning, so I mean, who
He's
knows?
burning
Yeah.
down the house, bro.
Andrew, what are your expectations for this album? Because I feel like okay, tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like your opinion on Donda has improved since our review. I'm not sure. I'm just taking
No,
a
it's
kind of a
gotten
guess.
worse.
Oh, really?
I
Okay,
literally
damn.
like less songs on that album than I did when we reviewed it. And I already gave that album a 5.5.
Is that your
I
least
gave it a
favorite Kanye
pretty
album? I
generous
forgot.
8.
Oh, it's by far my least favorite Kanye album. It's fucking awful.
I don't know if that 8 that I gave it would stand today. It didn't quite have uh
Longevity.
the longevity factor that I thought it would. I listen to CLB a lot more than Donda.
Yeah, but so yeah, Andrew, what are your? Because I feel like you generally you've been a pretty big Kanye fan. Maybe you know you didn't like Donda, but I feel like you know you're like big fan of his discography. I mean, with Yeezus potentially being your favorite, we've talked about this. Like, what are your hopes and dreams for Donda 2?
Uh,
And do you think it's gonna come out on 2/2/2/2/2?
I think it should because that's like a pretty good date. But like, do I think it's going to based off of? I saw this tweet that was like, in total, his albums have come out like 1,600 days like late. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't even have that many albums, and some of them never come out. Like Turbo Graphics 16.
Yeah, is Turbo
Graphic.
Graphics included in that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
remember like in 2016 when he released Life of Pablo, he's like Turbo Graphics 16 coming this summer. That was like literally 6 years
Yeah,
ago.
he has like 5 albums that he's like started and like never finished.
Yeah.
Gone, not Yandi. Yandi.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the way he's been going, I feel like this is going to be another bad album, and then Donda 1 and Donda 2 is going to be a 2-pack of ass.
2-pack of ass.
What about you, John? Like you were definitely the most. I wasn't that far off from you on my score. I gave it a 7.5, and I actually think I might honestly like the album a little bit more from that since that review. But you're definitely the most hot on Donda. You know when it came out. What you know? Are you excited for Donda 2? Like what do you think? What are your hopes and dreams for this thing, or what are your expectations?
I hope he can keep it to under 20 songs.
Yeah.
Just cut out the stinkers. Um, I would like some more like the energy that he brought in like off the grid. I'd like to get a lot more of that.
Mhm.
Because I think Kanye killed it with his verse in that. I want to see a lot more Kanye rapping. I
Mhm.
want him to cut out some of the singing. But I don't know if Donda really, like I said, I don't know if it quite had the longevity factor for me. Um, I haven't given it a full listen probably since like 2 weeks after our episode, honestly. Um,
It's pretty much
and
impossible to give that fucking thing a full listen.
true. I really only listened to like 5 or 6 songs off of it at this point out of what 27. So
Yeah.
so like I just hope that he cuts out the stinkers most of all. And I want some more Kanye rapping, less sing-songy shit. But
Yeah.
I was hot on it. And not quite as much anymore.
Yeah,
The longevity factor kind of dropped.
I definitely want him to like, I don't know, handle things with grace instead of be a fucking like raging asshole like on the album.
Like
I love
he's a raging asshole, but like when it comes to your family, I feel like you gotta know when to like just I don't know. Yeah,
handle it
just
behind closed doors.
yeah, just be a man.
That's what always rubbed me wrong about like, back in like a few years back when fucking Lemonade and then Jay-Z dropped 444, which is like, I'm like, bro, how are you dropping a response album to your fucking wife? Just go downstairs and talk to her.
So
Like,
dumb.
like why is that
Celebrity
shit being
relationships are
broadcast? Yeah.
such a joke. Celebrity relationships are a fucking joke. Doing
Yeah.
everything for money.
Honestly,
This
it's
is
like, bro, these guys are billionaires. Like, you don't even need the
you don't
like
need
you,
extra cash. You don't need drama.
yeah. It's crazy. I'm actually excited though for the Kanye documentary because it premiered at like a film festival and actually like I've heard very, very like amazing. Like people have had very
Because
positive
doesn't
opinions
the
on it.
documentary take place in like the actual good albums he put out? Like
I think it's his whole career. I think. I'm not sure though. It's supposed to be like a 3-part miniseries. Maybe we'll talk about it. Who knows?
leave out Donda, please.
Probably.
Yeah. One last question, big, and then we'll move on from this. Because I feel like Kanye albums are stacked with features. Uh, what would you give me? I'm trying to. How do I word this? Who would you love? Give me like a little selection of featured artists that you'd love to see on one song. Like that you think like on Donda, like Kanye featuring these like ABC artists on one song. I don't know if you have like a dream collab that you'd love to see Kanye on Donda too.
I want to see a feature with Drake.
That's what I was gonna say.
Apparently they squashed the beef, so I'd love to see a Drake feature, and then just fucking throw The Weeknd on that track too.
Just make it OVO.
Just throw Travis on there too. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
Why
get
not?
Travis back into the mix.
Ricky Rose.
If it's gonna be a problematic album, you might as well bring Travis into it.
Jesus Christ. I actually heard there's supposed to be a track with Tame Impala, Rihanna, and ASAP Rocky, which that sounds pretty fucking lit.
That sounds dope.
All three of them on one, or you mean like 3 different tracks?
I think 3 of them on one.
Damn.
I mean, Tame Impala collaborates with rappers a lot, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's on it. But yeah, that's
dope.
I had a feeling someone would say OVOXO. But what about you, Andrew? What would anything? You can pick anyone that you want to see.
Probably at
on
least
track.
The Weeknd.
Get Weeknd on there again.
Because Hurricane is like the only other song I like besides Off the Grid, off of Donda 1.
80 degrees.
I mean, shit, you could just make it like Champions Part 2. Like that, yeah, like Champions was a banger when that single came out and everybody thought Cruel Winter was coming.
I was thinking about that too.
Yeah, I would love to for me, like I would love to see one of those big feature posse cuts is what they call them, like like Monster or like Champions or like Mercy, like where he pulls on like all the fucking heavy hitters at the time. Like, yeah, I would love to see. I think we will get a song with Drake because they have squashed the beef. That'd be awesome. And I would love to see like fucking like Travis on there. I have a feeling The Weeknd's not going to be on this album just because you're just on Donda 1, but who knows with Kanye. I love to, but I think I love to see like Drake and maybe like Drake, Young Thug, and like Kanye on a track. I feel like that could bring some good meme energy.
Throw Young Thug on any track.
Hey, I like Remote Control a lot off Donda.
Just do ski challenge part 2.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how he'll roll out the album because he rolled out Donda in like a pretty ginormous way. We'll be here to talk about it and review it, and I'm excited for when we do that because that'll be interesting if it comes out. We'll see. But anyways, that's all we had for the current events. Kind of a lighter week, honestly, but the past 2 weeks I've had 2 pretty big announcements with the fucking Activision, now Donda 2 announced. But that's it for current events, and now we can go ahead and get into our main topic. All right, so the main topic for today is a game that is regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. Was a big winner of Game of the Year awards when it came out. Stars Kratos, which is the main character of the series. We're talking about God of War from 2005. Has a 94 on Metacritic.
No stinkers this week again.
No, actually, yeah. Okay, just all jokes aside, yeah, we were talking about God of War 2018. I thought it was funny though. I was looking at the Metacritic score, and both God of War 2005 and 2018 have the exact same Metacritic score, which is kind of funny. Yeah, they both have a 94, which is crazy.
That is.
But yeah, yes, but those statements do stand true. God of War 2018 regarded as one of the greatest games of all time, regarded by many as the best PlayStation exclusive ever. And yeah, it was it won a lot of Game of the Year awards, was a popular choice for Game of the Year in 2018. 2018 was absolutely stacked year for video games, with like Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 2. So speaks to like how well this game is regarded. But yeah, we're all here to talk about it. Let's just get right into it. What I want to talk about kind of God of War as a series real quick, before we talk about this game. What, if any, experience do you guys have, with this series leading into this game? Because I'm gonna be honest, I actually had zero experience playing any of these games.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, I knew what they were like, and I knew what they were about, but I never actually. Maybe I played a little bit of God of War 3 on PS3 or something, but I never like actually went through and played through one of these games. So really going into God of War 2018, it was kind of a clean slate. But and it's actually, I'll kind of delve into it more, but I was curious, did you guys really have any experience before coming into this one?
Actually, yeah. But I never played it myself.
Mhm.
I had a buddy when I was growing up, one of like our family friends that I used to hang out with a bunch. He was obsessed with God of War, but on PS2.
Like God of War 1 and God of War 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually watched through like both of those when I was like, dude, I must have been like 9 years old.
Mhm.
And it's a lot to see at 9 years old. There's actually like
titties and shit.
Yeah, it's very focused on nudity in those early games. So I did actually have a decent amount of experience with it. So that's kind of what I expected coming into this.
Yeah.
Coming into God of War 2018, I expected to see like I thought it was going to be over the top with like blood and gore, and I thought it was going to be Greek mythology focused too. I thought there was going to be like nudity all over the place, all over the screen, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like
not at all.
It was not at all. Literally none of that. I mean, the blood and gore, yeah, but like not as much, surprisingly.
Yeah. And what about you, Andrew? Did you have you didn't have, and this was your first God of War game, right?
Yeah, the most I had exposure to God of War was the Kratos costume in Little Big Planet, and playing as him in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, and that's about it.
Yeah, PlayStation Battle, whatever, All-Stars Royale. Give us the second one.
Yes.
Shraggy?
Make Shraggy playable character?
Yes. Yeah, like going into this game, I honestly I didn't have the greatest like I don't know, perception, but like thought of like God of War, because I was like, it just seems like a very like 2000s like franchise, like a lot of fucking gore, like Kratos is just fucking bad bitches, and like just
that's how it was, like
yeah,
Harpies and stuff.
Yeah, like it was just like the most like kind of obnoxious levels of like violence and gore and craziness. But I mean, I know those games were highly regarded, but I think Kratos, like anytime I saw anything of him, I was just kind of like, oh, this dude's just like a raging fuckhead, like, so going into this game, I was really not, I'm gonna be honest, I really wasn't that excited to play it. But I wanted to play it because when the reviews dropped, I mean, I was really like blown away because like this game was getting like 10s across the board. I mean, it has a 94 on Metacritic, which is fucking insane. You know, like that's really high. And you know, people were regarding it as like one of the greatest games of all time. So that's obviously like, well, I was like, okay, I need to go in and like check this out, because there's clearly, you know, there's clearly been like a revamp of the series. And one thing I want to actually dive into before we really get into the game is I actually watched the documentary about the making of this game. It's called Raising Kratos. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. It has like a few million, it has like 5 million views actually. It's like an hour and a half. I just watched it like throughout like work when I had downtime, and it was like super interesting to just see like the studio's progress in making the game, because and I'll just kind of share some insight on this. Essentially, after they made the God of War games on PS3, they're like, okay, we're gonna make a new IP, and it was actually supposed to be a sci-fi game that they were working on, and then they were doing like a two team approach where that team was making a sci-fi game, and the new team was making like a new God of War essentially, and that game actually ended up getting canceled by Sony because it was not going well, and everyone was like, damn, like is Sony Santa Monica, like are they on the, you know, are they on the down slope essentially? And then that entire team like overnight got moved over to the God of War team, and then God of War, you know, began full production. And it was essentially like, and they're talking about how even in the documentary, they're talking about how like they wanted to change the perception of Kratos, because Kratos is just like this fucking raging meathead, you know, to everyone. And they wanted to have something a lot more nuanced and like restrained. And they wanted to kind of give like Kratos like depth and like a redemption arc essentially. And obviously they were changing mythologies. And actually they're saying in that documentary that they were originally going to do Egyptian mythology, you know, and then they ended up and then they ended up settling on you know, obviously Norse mythology. And like the game is like based really on like the creative director's like experience with like having a son now, like because I think he was the creative director on God of War 2, and then he left the studio and came back for this game, and he was like, yeah, like I was really like based on my experience of like being a father now, you know, like a lot of the inspiration came from that. I also think they didn't want to say it, but I think the Last of Us 1 is also a huge inspiration for this game. So that's a little insight from the documentary, and also it's just crazy as well, like seeing them like getting, you know, trying to get ready for like the E3 demo, like putting all their efforts in for the E3 demo. And one of the craziest things they said was like, we just spent 2 years making this demo. Now we have 2 years to finish the rest of the game. Like,
dude, what?
Because
I need to watch this documentary. I didn't have enough time this week to do it.
Yeah, it was because, you know, it's really like the first half of like production in a lot of games is like really just trying to get like the graphics and the look and like how the game actually like play. Like, can we create like a demo of this game so that it's like a proof of concept? And then they're like, well, shit, now everyone's excited for the game. Now we got fucking
you have to like make all the assets first.
Yeah.
Like they spend so much time. Like the first part of most game development is just making character models and assets to use, like trees and environmental stuff. So like it's not surprising that like it took them 2 years to make that demo, and then it only took them 2 years to make the rest of the game. Because
I actually didn't realize that's like how the development went. I figured they already had like everything kind of structured and built out.
Well, you would in a game if it was like a sequel or like in a series, but like basically a reboot of a franchise. You don't have, I mean, you have nothing. I mean, they didn't have anything on PS4 because the last one came out on PS3.
Yeah, and it looks completely different.
Yeah,
completely different artistically. Like Kratos doesn't even look like the same dude hardly.
Yeah, because like the PS3 games, they were like a fixed camera, you know, like, and they were like a completely different style of like gameplay and literally everything. Like, yeah, like, so
I bet they didn't reuse any assets from the PS3 one, if I had to guess.
I would.
Oh yeah, it's probably all from scratch.
Yeah.
but yeah, it was like pretty much they had to, I'm sure they had like, well, they definitely had the story planned out, but like the actual game running, like with all the assets and everything, like, yeah, it's crazy that it really took 2 years of work just to create like, essentially the E3 demo is like when they start hunting the deer, just like that, like 10 minutes of gameplay. It took them like 2 years to make like 10 minutes of like playable gameplay, and then like 2 years to make another like 30 hours, which is crazy.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, game development is so fucking interesting, honestly. But let's kind of share our initial, like, I guess now, like we've all played the game, obviously. What were, your initial thoughts on the game? Once you played it the first time, or when you initially played it, or what were your, experiences going through it? Because I think all of us, we really do enjoy, like, think this game is fantastic, but I don't think we were on that page necessarily, like, for the whole journey. I think there was a little bit of a ramp into that feeling. I think at least I guess I'll start off. I thought initial thoughts, when I had beaten the game, I thought it was a fantastic game. But I'll definitely say, after the first big boss fight in the game definitely slows down, and I was kind of like not sure about it, but it definitely picks back up. But I think this game, honestly, I do think it's one of the best PS4 exclusives. I don't think I stand on the the level of thought where it's like maybe one of the best games of all time, just because, I mean, the other games I think that this gets compared to, I just like a little bit more. But I think it's a fucking amazing game, and I think the combat is like genuinely one of the best in any game ever. That is actually, I'll say that the combat is fucking fantastic. But I think the thing that stops me from thinking it's one of the best games of all time is like how the story plays out in certain way, like the way they go about telling the story. We'll get into it, but that's kind of where I hold my main grievances with it. But I think like the graphics, the way the acting, the story is like all fantastic. And really like just shows, it's like the perfect example of a franchise coming back and being like reimagined. Like this is like the perfect example of like, this is how you bring back a franchise that might have been dated or hasn't aged well, and you really like modernize it. And like Kratos is once again kind of like the poster child of like the PlayStation brand. He's like him and Aloy are the two characters like in Fortnite. We were talking about that, like both, which is really interesting. But no, I think this is an amazing game, and I think the game. I think a lot of my thoughts with this game come into comparison with fucking Red Dead Redemption 2, because they were like pitted against each other that year. So I always kind of end up comparing it to that. Yeah, and Spider-Man. Man, that year was amazing.
Dude, Last of Us 1 versus GTA 5, Red Dead 2 versus God of War, like poster boys.
It's literally PlayStation exclusive versus Rockstar game for the battle for game. And PlayStation won in both of those situations, at least at the Game Awards. But that's kind of my general thoughts. We'll get into it more, but I do think it's an amazing game, and I think it's a great example of like a franchise coming back and reimagining itself in a very successful way. And sorry, I talked for a lot there, but like,
no, I'm not sure how I'm gonna follow that up quite.
I mean, I can give my thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
I know, like, I'm on the same plane as Arsenal. I know after I played it the first time, I was like, this is the greatest game I've ever played in my life. And I think, like, after like I started revisiting or replaying it like last year, or early, in 2021, I guess. Jesus, I got the PS4 2 years ago. But like you said, like it does get like slow, but like after, I feel like from when, I guess spoilers if you haven't played this game by now, I mean
we're gonna be spoiling the shit
out of it, so. Like from that first big fight with the what's that thing called, the huge thing, I can't even think of the word, like the first boss fight you have.
Oh, the troll.
Yeah,
the troll's right. Yeah.
From there until like when you go to Helheim, I feel like that's kind of like not the best area of the game, if I'm remembering
the first half, essentially. Yeah. It's slower, yeah.
Helheim on is like so crazy, and especially once you get the Blades of Chaos, like like you said, the actual gameplay itself is probably like some of the best ever. Like it's so fun to just like wreck everybody, and the combat is insanely well made. And I think that's what like made me that's definitely actually what made me go like, wow, this is like one of the greatest games I've ever played. And I think after like trying to revisit it, it kind of fell a little bit just because of the first half after you battle the troll was like kind of like but definitely the second half is super strong, and the story like obviously ramps into like overdrive mode after you go to Helheim. So I mean, my initial thoughts is like, I mean, it's definitely top 5 games I've ever played. There's a few games vying for that top spot, and this one included. But I mean, yeah, I loved it, and I think me and Arsenal definitely had similar experiences from what I remember and can tell.
I think I had the most different experience.
Yeah, because I mean, you played it. I mean, I played it at launch. Andrew, you obviously played it right when you got your PS4, but John, you just, I mean, for the first time, you only played it a few months ago. I mean, you talked about it on the podcast.
I beat it in like late August, early September, I want to say. But it was one of the first games. It was one of the first games I played on the PS5, actually.
Yeah, it was actually. I remember that.
And it was one of my on my like PlayStation wrap up, like one of my highest played games hour wise, besides Rocket League. So I definitely had a different experience playing it. These guys talk about like the first half being kind of slow. Take that like feeling times 2, because when you're so I played this. This was like the second story-driven game that I played after, or the first story-driven game I played after The Last of Us 2, and I gave it that same treatment where, like, in The Last of Us 2, when you go to Seattle, and it's the first open world kind of area.
Yeah.
I thought that the Lake of Nine in God of War was the same idea. So Casey and I, and she was watching me play it, we missed out on, well, we didn't miss out on anything, but we took like a 5-hour detour right when you get to the first open world area, and really the main open world area in God of War. We took like a 5-hour detour just doing side shit. And I kind of thought that's like what you were supposed to do. But
yeah, because you thought if you left, it would be gone. Right?
Yeah, I thought if I left that area, I couldn't go back to it. And I thought it was more like a linear, like game. Last of Us style story, but that's not the case.
Because it is linear, it is linear, like it's linear up until that point. So I can totally see how you could think that.
Yeah, exactly. So at first I was getting a little bit annoyed because I was like, okay, when is like the story gonna start picking up? Like, I mean, yes, I know I can go toward the story, but I don't want to like be under prepared or anything. I wanted to make sure I had all the upgrades that I felt like I would need, because I also thought it was one of those games where like, okay, if you don't upgrade your weapons enough or do enough side shit, then you're gonna have a lot harder time. But it's really balanced in terms of the combat. You don't I would recommend skipping all that shit. Like, at least your first playthrough, if for some reason you haven't played this, and yeah, we're going to be spoiling the shit out of it, just play through the story for the first time and then go back and do stuff, because you'll progress the way you should if you just beeline the story. So that was kind of a mistake on my part, and I talked to these guys about it, and they're like, just go through the story, you idiot. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up enjoying it a lot more. Story-wise, I actually love it. I really enjoy the story. I think it's really
as a future father yourself.
Yeah, dude, I actually love the fact that I'm gonna be a dad soon, and I'm gonna be playing this with a baby on me while I'm.
You're gonna be playing Ragnarok.
Yeah, I'm gonna be playing Ragnarok. The next one, with a baby probably on me. So we'll definitely by then. But I really like the storytelling. There are moments where without getting like too terribly into it yet, because we will, there's just moments where it feels very much like a video game, even with the storytelling.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, do we really need to do that? Like, we gotta do all this shit again? Like,
I know. Yeah, I know exactly
like
what you're talking about.
and I know that
I
we're
mean,
like
just
kind of,
we can get into it. I mean, if you want to just talk about what you're.
yeah, well, I mean, like I was gonna say, I know we've kind of given the impression that, oh, this is not the best game of all time. It's definitely up there. And there's not a lot of negatives to it, but I think one of the main negatives for me was the fact that in terms of storytelling, it kind of like goes back. Like it'll take one step forward and take 3 steps back for like the first half of the game.
Mhm.
Except one of the scenes is that like one of the scenes that it does that is one of the coolest scenes visually, because like Kratos is fighting the main enemy Baldur uh in the sky. Like he jumps, like skydives off a mountain toward Baldur, who's got Atreus with him, Kratos' son,
Mhm.
and is like going after him on this dragon. And I mean, that scene is just insane. There's a lot of like amazing scenes visually, and I can't say enough about the visuals of this game. It's amazing, especially playing it for the first time on PS5. Um, but like Ursula kind of talked about, the storytelling and the story itself is, it seems very heavily influenced upon like the first Last of Us game.
Mhm.
It's very much like a coming of age story, I feel like, for not only Kratos' son Atreus, but also Kratos himself. Like
Mhm.
he's really learning a lot
Yeah,
himself.
the director of the game, like he described it as a story of Atreus teaching Kratos how to be human, and Kratos teaching Atreus how to be a god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and saying it like that is honestly perfect, because it is a lot like that, except when um except when Kratos reveals that Atreus is a god. He definitely, I wouldn't quite say cringe, but on that on that
That range.
yeah, it's,
Of
I'm just like, what the hell? But
well,
all in all, I think like the pacing and everything is okay. It could be better, but it's just like when it takes 1 step forward and 3 steps back like twice, it's like, okay, come on.
yeah. So like in terms of like how much we played, Andrew, did you? I'm guessing, right? You just kind of just played through the story, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just played through the story. I mean, I probably should platinum it eventually, but
I was thinking about going for the plat, honestly.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't know how much like I love this game, but I don't know if I could like go on like a grinding spree on it, just because I feel like it would make the combat like get stale for me, and maybe I wouldn't like it as much. I don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, if that's about that's a valid reason. I feel like,
Yeah.
because the thing I like about it is the combat, and I feel like if I do 20 more hours of that just grinding to get trophies, I feel like I won't like it as much, because it's like if I do like when I like did like I don't know, like Spider-Man or like Last of Us platinums, like those, well, Spider-Man's a little different, but like Last of Us is like the combat is just shooting. Like I
Mhm.
played games like that all the time. Spider-Man, it's definitely like a little bit of the
The
like,
combat started getting stale
yeah,
with the plat.
the shine of the game started like to kind of like wear off after I did like, 45 fucking like crime missions, for Christ's sakes, in every borough. That was annoying, but that's what I'm like worried about with God of War, is just getting tired of it. Shit, sorry.
Bless you.
um but I don't think I'll go for the, maybe on Ragnarok, maybe like when I play Ragnarok, maybe I'll take more time, because I feel like a lot of the time if I just like slowed down and like went over the game very methodically, like I was like feeling like on Uncharted, I was like, man, if I would have just like given a shit about the collectibles the first go around, I would like not even have to worry about replaying it to get the platinum. So maybe Ragnarok, I'll use a trophy guide and kind of just try to do it all in one go. I mean, I assume you can't do it all in one go, but could at least get as much as possible, because that's what I did with Last of Us. I tried to get as much as possible in the first playthrough. But eventually, like on Last of Us 2, when I marathoned it, I was like, ah, fuck collectibles. I want to see how this story ends.
Yeah, well, like
I'll
Andrew,
see.
I want to ask you like specifically because I know like you're like you like games that are more like faster paced, have a little bit more like immediate kind of gratification, right? I kind of want to ask you like when you were playing the game for the first time, what was it that kind of made you stick with it? Because I actually remember vividly when you started playing it, I remember you texting me privately like, yo, God of War is kind of boring, God of War is kind of boring. And this was, like early on, like before you even got to Lake of Nine, I was just kind of like, just play it a little bit more,
Yeah.
but like what was it that kind of made you stick with it? Was it the combat or was there some like, what was kind of like the hook that kept you going through it?
I mean,
Because it is slower at the beginning.
Yeah, it was more the combat, and I know like specifically like kind of going over my favorite scene is that dragon boss battle where you and Atreus like have to like work together to like take down that huge dragon. That was like the oh shit moment of the game for me, because I was like holy, like that was the most cinematic ass boss battle I've ever played.
It was so cool.
And you had to use like tons of strategy, like telling them like when to drop everything. Like it was like working in tandem with the CPU, which is super interesting. And that was definitely my like favorite fight scene, and that definitely kept me like hooked. I was like, okay, this like I think this game will be worth something. I might be getting like, I'm trying to think, that's before you go to Helheim. I'm like
yeah definitely
sure.
It's
so
like
that was like right
game,
before, and then it like kind of kept me hooked.
That's like a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, and then once I got like halfway and like Helheim on, I was just like, holy shit, like this is badass. So I think that boss battle, maybe they strategically put it there to like, so you're not like, oh, I just did 8 hours of fucking nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was definitely my favorite scene, and that kept me hooked. And then, obviously the Blades of Chaos scene is iconic. We were actually talking about it yesterday while me and John were watching the cutscene videos.
Oh yeah.
Oh like, man, that cutscenes. I didn't think that there was like 6 hours of cutscenes in God of War.
Yeah, well, like one thing that's worth like just kind of
stuff that wasn't cutscenes
touching upon is like just like the way the game is told. I think this is the first game where if you start the game and theoretically, right, if you like somehow played this game in one sitting, right, the whole game will go through with no cuts. It's like it's like the style of like a one-shot camera, which I think in some storytelling aspects, it's a little bit, it kind of draws things out in an unnecessary way, but there's some moments where like it is used so fucking well. And I actually think it's really awesome where they said Ragnarok is also going to be a one shot. So like in theory, you could probably play like from the start of this game to the end of Ragnarok in like one long like continuous shot. On mute. Yeah. Like one long continuous shot. But did you guys notice the one shot? I like playing it, like what did you guys think of it? Because I thought it was like usually when you think of like one shots and things like that, that's something like a kind of like a technique that's used in film, right? But we haven't really like talked about like we've never really seen in a game like, oh, like what if you use like a continuous shot that never leaves, the camera angle never cuts, it's always active, it always seamlessly comes in and out of gameplay. And I mean, we've seen that in some games, but not where the camera just never cuts. It's this seamless experience all the way through, which I think is super unique. And one of the best parts of the storytelling of this game is how it's just this one continuous journey from start to finish.
I actually didn't notice it at first. And then like after watching some reviews and stuff after I finished it and they mentioned it, I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. Like it totally was. And it made me appreciate the game a lot more because that's a hard fucking thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I know that storytelling wise, it wouldn't like work for every game. Like maybe The Last of Us, like, no, it couldn't have done that. Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe. No, it couldn't have. I can't think of a lot of games that could have done that effectively, but it's really cool to just think that they did that and the amount of direction it would take and how difficult it would be to pull that off. I guess I didn't notice it because of how much I died. And it's not a complaint with the game, but like, holy shit,
I
I
think
died
you
a
just
lot.
need to get better.
I need to get
Good,
good.
good, good.
I really need to get good because holy fuck, especially toward the end in the gauntlet. I wanted to kill myself.
Classic PlayStation Endgame Gauntlet.
Dude,
Well, and I
I
think
hate that. It makes me not like the game as much initially, and then I like get through it, and I'm like, okay, that was dope.
I think like speaking of cutscenes, even the parts in like Last of Us where they could do it, like it's always just like a Naughty Dog thing to like have like a hard cut when the gameplay gets done. Like it just goes black and then goes into a cut. Like it goes black for like a split second and then goes into a cutscene.
I think
it has the black transition and then like
yeah
on screen.
I know the PS3 Naughty Dog games of that. I feel didn't Uncharted 4 and Last of Us 2 they kind of like seamlessly transitions, right?
They were pretty seamless. Well,
yeah.
Last of Us 2 was pretty seamlessly.
Uncharted 4, I think it's like straight. It's kind of like, it just cuts seamlessly in between.
Yeah, I guess
but
I'm thinking of Uncharted 2 because like there's always times in Uncharted 2 where it's like you're doing gameplay and then all of a sudden it like snips to black and it goes boom and then it's like a cutscene.
Yeah. But I guess Andrew, did you notice the one shot like when you were playing through it, or was it?
No, I didn't even think of it actually. But like now that I like think back, like I mean, it's not like Last of Us where it's like day 2, like day 3.
Yeah.
It's like you just keep going.
Yeah, which is like super crazy. Well, I guess like let's talk about like just some of the like kind of like just going through some of the like really noteworthy moments of the game. I mean, first off, I think like one of the best scenes of the game is literally the first encounter with Baldur. Just that shit is it's just so like
badass.
Like it catches. I think I've seen like compilations on YouTube of like you like a playthrough reactions, like Twitch streamers and stuff. Everyone's always just like, holy shit, like because it's just like when Baldur punches you and Kratos just goes flying like over like his house and lands. It's like, whoa. And that fight is like literally some Super Saiyan like superhero shit going on, like literally like breaking the ground underneath them and like punching in the air. Like it's that's honestly like a great like intro sequence that really kicks off the story, I think.
Like Kratos breaks off a piece of a mountain and throws it onto Baldur, and then he's just like, bitch, I can't feel anything.
yeah.
I thought you would make me feel something.
Yeah, and one actually interesting thing of the story is when he when you're playing the game for the first time, and we all knew the original series was in like Greek mythology, right?
Yeah.
Like when Baldur first comes, like I think everyone, I mean rightfully so, thinks that he's like like the way Baldur's talking kind of vaguely like, where you come from, you're all like enlightened and noble or high and mighty or whatever. And like as a new player, you're thinking like, he's after Kratos because Kratos came from like a different land or like a different mythology. But when you play through the game, you realize that Baldur and Odin, as an extension of that, they're actually there to look for Freya, which is like the mother, because she's, we find out she's a giant, but like essentially like they think that Kratos is a giant, and that's why they're trying to hunt down Kratos, because they think maybe he can get them to Jotunheim, which I mean almost he does, but they're not even looking for him. They're not technically even supposed to be looking for him, which is I think is kind of like a little interesting detail. Like once you're replaying it, like, they're not even like he doesn't even come to that house looking for Kratos, but he thinks Kratos is the giant that he's looking for.
I guess I didn't catch the giant aspect of that on my first playthrough. That is interesting.
Yeah. It's not something that you would ever get like right off the bat, because I mean it's based off knowledge that you realize once you beat the game, so when you replay it, you kind of realize it.
Might be worth a replay before Ragnarok.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But
I think I would actually.
Andrew, what did you think of like that first like encounter with Baldur?
I mean, I thought it was insane how it was like literally the start of the game and he's like shut, like when he like tears down the tree with his bare hands and then like shoves Baldur into the fucking rock. I was like, holy fuck. I thought the battle was like insane, and I had always like thought, I was like, like Kratos, he's like, like the game's called God of War. Like he's like basically on like a god level, and then he's like getting his ass beat for a little bit of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was crazy to see Kratos get his ass beat, but like, I just liked how he was like at the very beginning, he was just it was so badass how he got smacked across the face and was just like, leave my home. Like he didn't
Yeah.
even initially he didn't fight back, but
Yeah.
Baldur was like insistent upon it. It
Mm-hmm.
was crazy. It was a really cool scene. And it's
Yeah.
like I don't know how they like because I know a lot of video games like actually do some acting
Mm-hmm.
with real people to get some of these stunts
Yeah,
down.
like live mocap, like mocap, motion
Exactly.
capture. Yeah.
I can't imagine like if they would have done something like this, what it would have taken. But it was really like some superhero level shit. Like
Yeah.
I remember Ursula, you sent that picture that was like, oh, who would win in a fight, Thanos or Kratos? Kratos all the way.
Yeah.
Dude,
The
Kratos
God
would
of
kick
War.
anyone's ass. Anybody from the MCU, easily. It's
Yeah.
he's so badass.
Yeah, and that's one of the best hallmarks of this game is like I actually like really like Kratos as a character, by the end of this game. Like there's a lot of depth there to it. But like from there, we essentially the journey starts, which the overall arcing plot of this whole game is literally to get to the top of a mountain to scatter ashes. And the journey begins from there. And this is, I think, I don't know if you guys would agree with me. I think this is the worst stretch of the game. Getting to the mountain the first time, like
The
I feel like
first time, yeah.
yeah. So like I mean, my experience with the game is I did when I first did pretty much as much as I could. So the game for me was like 30 to 35 hours, right? But still like and I did a lot of the side quests and things like that. But this time when I replayed it, I just beelined the story and it was closer to 15. I think it takes a lot of time to get to the mountain for the first time and realize that the journey is not going to be super straightforward. Like, they have to go through the entire forest and like through like everything. Like they have to meet Freya and go through all that and then go through the Lake of the Nine and from the Lake of the Nine to the mountain. And that's really just like the intro section of the game, which that's where I think a lot of the like slowness kind of starts off.
And that's kind of what I mean by like one step forward, two steps back too, or three steps back. Like they get to the top of the first mountain and it's like, oh, this is not the right mountain. And then they get almost to the entrance to Jotunheim and it's like, oh, nope, actually not. Gets
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah, and like just for like just gonna try to recall this. They get to the mountain for the first time. They get to the foot of the mountain and they realize they can't go in because the black fog is covering it. So they have to go to a different realm to grab the light of Alfheim. They bring it back. Then they get through the mountain. They go up the mountain. Then they realize they're at the top of the mountain that it's not the right mountain. And then they have to. I'm trying to even remember. Like from there, then they have to pretty much like figure out how to get to Jotunheim. And then from there, they get the Jotunheim stuff, and then they go back to the top of the mountain. And then they almost get into Jotunheim, and then that doesn't work. And then they go back. Like there's a lot of
feels very video game-y
in that
aspect.
regard.
Yeah. And that was one of my main complaints with the game. And one of my like only real gripes with the game is that it's just like there are times where like I almost feel like it would benefit cutting a few hours off potentially. Because there's still all that side content too. But
and that is one of my main issue with the game. And I mean, I'll get into it a little bit later, like closer to final thoughts. But and yeah, like, but there are still a lot of cool moments in between that. I think like the dragon fight is awesome. John, I don't know if you wanted to talk about that because Andrew just talked about it. That's also a great sequence of like where the one shot is used, like really cool, like just fighting that dragon.
Yeah, it was a really cool scene. And you would think like for something that's so cinematic and so larger than life, when you're fighting, you're a man, the size of a man, fighting a dragon, you would think it would be like, oh, just like press this button and watch him do some crazy shit and press this button. And there's a little bit of that, but there's a lot of legitimately like you're actually fighting this dragon, and the shots and how it pans around it is just, it's beautifully done. And really the boss battles in this game, I wish there were more. like that dragon fight. Because I know that's like a big staple of God of War and like the PS3 games was just like larger than life boss battles.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a little bit more of that. And this is a lot more grounded, which I like, but maybe one more dragon. I don't know. Give us one more big boss battle like that because it was just absolutely ridiculous. And no other game really that I can think of does that, or at least does it that well. It's just beautifully done and beautifully shot. And saying
Yeah.
something's beautifully shot in like a video
A
game, I
video
know
game.
sounds weird, but like if you
You have to
play
see
it, you
it.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually one of the things like that I think is interesting about this story is like there's a lot of grandiose shit going on, but like it still feels relatively like intimate because of I think the one shot camera. You know, it's always on the characters. There's not like a moment where it cuts away and like there's like a scene where like Odin is like talking to Thor. It's like, I want you to hunt these fuckers down or something, you know, like it's always focuses on Kratos and Atreus, which I think is a really I think it does benefit, you know, like the characters and the story because there is like a lot of like you said, John, like there's a lot of crazy epic shit that happens, but it's always the focus is these two characters, which I think
Yeah,
is
it definitely keeps it grounded at the same time, even with everything crazy going on, which I think is one of the best things about this game and how it is still a believable story too, and it's like relatable a little bit, considering they're gods. It's really
yeah.
cool.
What did you guys think of like the way this game handles like Norse mythology? I'm gonna be honest, like I feel like I have a better wrap around like Greek mythology and like the characters involved in Greek mythology. So really, like with Norse mythology, my understanding isn't as deep. I mean, I know like the Marvel characters, like Thor and fucking
Same.
Odin
Yeah.
and like you know like fucking Loki. But one thing I thought that was super interesting is like you know we always seen like Thor like in the MCU movies like he's like this fucking hero, right? But like in this game, I thought it was super cool. Is like you know the gods are the villains. You know like Thor is the bat like kind of like viewed as like an asshole in this world. And it's like I mean from the trailers of Ragnarok, Thor's probably is going to be in this in fucking Ragnarok. But I think it's super interesting how one they do keep it to you know like they always center like Kratos and Atreus, but like there's a lot of interesting stuff going on with Norse mythology. Like one thing I didn't know about Norse mythology is like you know how time is kind of like non-linear almost. You know they talk about in this game how the world serpent is actually came alive during Ragnarok and in a fight with Thor. Thor punched him so hard that the world serpent went back in time and is like now here, even though the world serpent is going to exist in the future. So it's like, I was like, oh shit, I didn't know like Norse mythology was like that, where like there's some like non-linearity to it. And it was really cool to see like kind of get exposed more to Norse mythology through this game. And I thought it is interesting how they like approach things, like kept like characters that we know like Odin and Thor as like villains almost. But what did you guys think of like kind of like Norse mythology? I guess like how like I don't know like your experience with Norse mythology coming into this and like your understanding of it walking out of it.
I mean, you guys know I'm not a huge like MCU person, so
Yeah.
like I mean, I know like in my head, like I know what Thor and Loki are, but like I mean, I thought it was cool because I know when the Ragnarok trailer came out, people were like, "Oh, like it's really cool that they made Thor like actually like accurate to Norse mythology instead of, you know, Chris Hemsworth." Um so like I think it's cool how they're like it's very interesting to learn about it, but like you said also like I'm much more familiar with like Greek mythology and like Greek gods and stuff just from like I mean elementary and high school and all that stuff. So like kind of learning about Norse mythology through like a medium like this is very interesting. um I mean because I mean besides Thor and Loki, both of which show up in this game, hint hint, um it's very very interesting.
Yeah, I liked it too. I mean, I wish Rick Riordan or Reardon would have wrote a Percy Jackson series, but like Norse mythology instead. That would have been cool. Uh, that's actually a lot of how I know about like Greek mythology is the Percy Jackson series and Hades too. Hades.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Definitely
Hades.
gave me a lot of, and even in high school, high school, junior high, they taught us Greek mythology more than anything, which I thought was interesting.
Norse
You don't really
mythology,
learn about Norse mythology much.
yeah.
And the only, like, I didn't really catch the potential time things and how time isn't linear until the very end of this story, actually.
Oh yeah, with the
Where,
paintings on the wall in the Jotunheim.
yeah, because we've touched on, there's in Jotunheim when they finally got there, there's paintings or like um I was gonna say hieroglyphics, but it's not that, on the wall of like Atreus and Kratos on their journey, and it even shows like the end of the journey, and I can't exactly make out the picture. Maybe you know, Ursel, what the picture is
Yeah.
supposed to be, but I think it's like Kratos dying, right?
Yeah. This is actually, I mean, we're kind of jumping around, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But
Norse
yeah, like
mythology is non-linear, damn it.
yeah,
The
yeah.
review is non-linear.
But like, yeah, when they're in Jotunheim, they realize that, I mean, obviously that Freya was a giant, but also, or not Freya. Was it for? Have I been saying Freya? It's Freya, right? That's
Freya
Yeah.
is the witch and the
oh,
goddess, the mother of Baldur, but their mom is named like
Faye.
Faye.
That's what.
Faye.
Yeah,
Oh,
Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Actually, it's like every time I played this game, I always get goosebumps during that scene because like obviously they're like, oh, like this all happened, like our fate's like already written, and like Atreus like runs off, and Kratos is just like, or like they say something like we'll see how it ends, like, and like Atreus runs off, and like Kratos is just like, yes, like we will, and he's like looking literally at a fucking mural of him like dying.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, it's like what's in the mural at the end is it's Kratos like in like Atreus's like hands, and it looks like Kratos is like on the verge of death, and you see the world serpent coming out of Atreus's mouth. Uh,
Oh boy, can't wait
Bruh.
for Ragnarok to get review bombed because they might kill off a staple character. I'm sure that's never
yeah,
happened on a PlayStation exclusive before.
Man.
yeah. But every time I see that, it always gives me like, I always get goosebumps like watching that scene because I'm like, fuck, dude, Ragnarok is gonna be fucking crazy. Like,
Dude, I already know the second game's gonna be bonkers. Like there's no like, oh, you should manage expectations. Nah, I mean, we already know where this is going, and it's gonna be badass. And the directors of the games confirmed that, like, obviously we're gonna see Ragnarok happen. And
mhm.
Ragnarok is the end of all things in Norse mythology, so it's gonna be really cool to see it.
Well,
And
and
it's
it's
yeah.
fucking like crazy that at the end of the movie you find out that Atreus is actually Loki. Like
Yeah,
that's who he is. So like
and we
holy,
know
like the
Loki
next
and
game's
Thor
gonna be
is like
insane.
brothers. So, or that's
So,
like pop culture.
Well, in
They're
Norse
supposed to be
mythology, I
brothers.
did a little look in this morning and yesterday, but like Loki, Odin, and Thor are like the three like main people of Norse mythology from what I could get.
yeah,
So like it's crazy that like he's like, well, but that's not my name up there. And it's like they named
yeah.
him Loki on the painting, like and on the wall art, I guess. Not
That's
I
the
want to say
name your mother
hieroglyphics so
wanted.
bad.
That's the name your mother wanted for you.
Because what is Atreus? He's like he's part god, part giant, and part
Mortal. It says mortal. He said part mortal, part giant, and part
God.
god. So like
yeah.
human, god, and giant.
It's crazy, man. Crazy. Ragnarok's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
So,
I feel
yeah,
like it could be a lot deeper potentially too.
yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But one scene I do really want to talk about, and just for reference, like how hot. Okay, I mean, I think this was personally for me Andrew. I know you said the dragon fight was your holy shit moment. This was personally my holy shit moment. Where I was like, okay, like I'm like completely on board with like what they're doing here. And I'm gonna say this. I think this is one of the best scenes in a video game ever. Like I would say top 10 scenes in a video game ever. And I think it's the best scene in this game. And I will be shocked if there's something in Ragnarok that beats the scene for me is when you know, which also a little fun fact, you know, Magni and Modi, the fucking Thor's sons, they're played by Nolan North and Troy Baker, which are Nolan North is the voice of Drake in Uncharted, and Troy Baker is the voice of Joel in The
That's
Last
so
of Us,
funny.
and Sam Drake in Uncharted 4. So I thought that was interesting that they play like brothers. But yeah, pretty much when Atreus gets sick and like, you know, like Kratos is carrying him out and like the sky's like dark as fuck, and because you can like because they just killed one of Thor's sons, so like Odin is upset essentially, like the whole weather is changing, everything's dark, and he takes him back, and Freya's like, you need to go to Helheim to you know, but like you won't be able to use this axe because, and here, like that's another thing in Norse mythology, here hell is cold instead of like hot, you know, like flames. And then he's like, I need to go back to my past and like dig, look, like use something that I never thought I'd use again. And like the whole sequence of like that and like him on the boat, and then like that little like kind of talk where like he pulls the chains out and he like starts wrapping them around, and fucking Athena is there, and like that encounter with like Athena and like where she's just like, you know, pretty much scolding him, like goosebumps, like honestly, like in my opinion, like a top 10 scene in gaming, because I think it's like so well done and so like powerful, and it's like crazy how well executed it is and how much I like it, because I didn't play the original ones, you know, and there's still so much like weight to that scene where he goes and gets the blades of chaos, which is like an iconic like video weapon, you know, and like how I think it's cool like for something like that, you know, like how they did it. That's like an amazing and like super powerful scene where she's like, you know, you keep pretending to be what you're not, like a father, a mentor, like a teacher.
You're a monster.
Like he's like, whatever you try to do, you'll always be a monster. And then he's like, I know, but you know, I'm not your monster anymore, which I think is like super like honestly, that scene is like fucking amazing. And that was like my like holy shit, like that was awesome. Like I'm fully on board with like where the rest of the story goes. But like what were your guys' experiences with that scene? Like what did you guys think of it?
I was floored by it because I was like, I knew how the original God of War games were, and I knew all about the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah.
And when they finally came in, because I didn't think that we were gonna get that. I didn't think that it was gonna connect to his Greek mythology at all, except for maybe like telling Atreus, yes, I'm not from here. But Athena, for fuck's sake, was in the game, and Zeus had an appearance actually. In the sky, even though he was dead. But it was like a vision, I guess. But I thought it was dope. Like, especially that line. It's just so badass. I'm not your monster anymore. Kratos has like 4 or 5 one-liners that are just so badass. I love it. But I actually, that was one oh shit moment, but I think that I agree with Andrew where like the boss battle with the dragon was like oh my gosh, like this is gonna be good. Because I expected like every boss battle from there to be grandiose like that. And it was at the end. The last boss battle, even with Baldur. I can't ever say it right.
I think it's just Baldur, right?
Baldur.
Yeah.
But even that at the end where it was just 2 men, Freya definitely made it grandiose feeling. But I think that the dragon boss battle was more my oh shit moment. But yeah, the finally seeing the Blades of Chaos come out, that was sick. And then like just the banter between like the
Mimir.
the banter between the like blacksmiths and Kratos about it. He's like, man, I didn't work on these, but I can tell these are special. It's just like, and then like there's that pause and like view of Kratos just like very somber and like stoic. He's stoic, not Drake.
maybe Tom Holland is thinking he's in the God of War movie.
Yeah, he thinks he's Kratos.
Where's all the creatures and my axe?
Where's my blades?
This game is just so badass. Kratos is the most badass character in all of gaming, all of media, honestly. I love him.
What about you, Andrew? What'd you think of that whole sequence?
Well, I knew the Blades of Chaos were a thing because, played Game of the Year 2013 PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. So, I mean, I was like thinking throughout the whole game, I was like, man, where are his like actual like iconic weapons? Because like I had always seen him with the Blades of Chaos. But then, the scene happened. I was like, oh shit. And then you go out and just like mow down all these like, I mean, they're pretty shitty enemies, but like all these enemies to like get the hang of it. And then you're like, damn, then that's where I was like, the combat really took off because those were so fun to use the whole time, the whole rest of the game.
Yeah, I thought it was actually, I don't know if you guys remember this. I thought it was really smart on their part where right before you go into the house to get the blades, they throw like 5 to 10 like just ice enemies, like up until that point, if you want to fight an ice enemy, you have to use like your hands. And I thought it was really smart that they make you fight those enemies because then right when you walk out with the Blades of Chaos, well, now you have the fucking Blades of Chaos. You don't need your hands. You can just fucking kill all the ice enemies like that.
And you just rip through them too. Yeah.
Well, here's a question. Which weapons did you like playing with more, the Blades of Chaos or the Leviathan axe?
Blades of Chaos for me anyways.
I liked the Leviathan axe actually, just because I could get that distance. And the way that I played, I just happened to like upgrade the distance of it and like what it could do when you throw it.
Yeah.
So I tended to use the axe more than anything. And I liked it a lot. But
you like just spamming the throw?
Yes. and it's so well done. It just like the way it flies and comes back. It's so satisfying, dude. Like I can't wait for the haptic feedback with the DualSense controller and Ragnarok. It's gonna be insane. Feeling the actual axe like come back and hit your hand on the DualSense. Oh, dude. It's gonna be
I wish they were able to add like haptic feedback into this version, but I mean 60 FPS and 4K will suffice. I'm trying to think. Honestly, I think I might say the Blades of Chaos too, because I just love like how he like whips them around and like you can do like damage to like entire groups of enemies.
Yeah.
I think the Leviathan axe is like better for fighting like one guy at a time, like bosses or things like that. But I think the Blades of Chaos I thought were super fun. And I loved how they were like a good counter pair to each other, like you had one that was ice and it was like more for individuals and it was like stronger individual damage, but then the Blades of Chaos were more like ranged and they're fire. And I don't know like how much you guys did this, but it was really easy to switch between them on the fly, like per battle, you could like use your Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, I was constantly switching back and forth even within one battle.
Yeah, like you use the axe for like, because you know how like if you hold like L1 and you press like R1 or R2, you use like a special ability with that weapon. Like, so you have like 2 special abilities per weapon and you can like switch between them and just like spam damage essentially.
Yes. The combat is bar none, like some of the best in gaming. It is so good and so satisfying.
Yeah.
I love it.
Honestly, like that was the one thing I kept thinking about when I was playing it at 60 FPS was like the combat in this game is so fucking good. Like, it's already good with just the Leviathan axe, but then when you keep getting more abilities for the axe, and then you include like even using your fists and then even using the Blades of Chaos, like just combining all those in like one big combat encounter, like it's so like fucking smooth. Like it's just so like satisfying.
So satisfying.
Yeah, to just use all that shit. But then, as the story goes on, like some other revelations, we find out that Freya is fucking Baldur's mom, which we find out. And I want to also say like another good scene that I wanted to point out, and feel free to point out any scenes that you guys wanted to talk about, like that come to mind. But another one, that we mentioned is like, and this is my second favorite scene in the game actually, is when they do get the Jotunheim travel stone and they go back up to the mountain for what you think is probably the last time, because they literally open up the fucking gates to Jotunheim and they're about to walk through it. And then Baldur like stops it, but then fucking Atreus like ruins the whole plan because he shoots Kratos. And then, literally the travel thing at the top gets broken. And then the super badass sequence like happens where he's fighting on like, and this is I think is the best example of the one shot where they're at the top of this mountain, right? And there's this fight sequence at the top of the mountain, and then they fly off the mountain onto the dragon, fighting on the dragon. having this epic battle on the dragon, damage the dragon, fall off the dragon onto the temple in the Lake of the Nine, run through the temple, go into the travel room, from the travel room, fly through the air while they're like fighting in Helheim, and then land in Helheim. And like that all happens in one shot. And it's
that is one of the moments where the one shot is just so perfect.
Yeah, with like
Kratos to the badassery of it.
Kratos like flying off the dragon and then using a shield to like land back onto the temple. And like that's when I was like, holy shit, this one shot. And like literally just the whole idea of like going from the top of the mountain all the way back down into like through the lake into Helheim, like all in one sequence, is like one of the like also like oh shit moments for me. Like,
and the
honestly.
music throughout that too is
it's
just, and we haven't talked much about the music, but the music is so well done and it definitely adds to it like any good story would. Another oh shit moment we haven't really talked about, well, at least it was an oh shit moment for me. I just love the big, larger than life, grandiose shit. But when Kratos is in the Lake of Nine initially, and he throws his axe because it's like, oh, you can't have weapons here. He throws it, and he's like, it won't come back. And then the world serpent just comes out, and it's like so fucking big. Yeah. And initially, I thought you were gonna have to fight it. I was like, what the hell is this? I just thought that was badass too.
And it's kind of like, thinking about the time is cyclical thing. It's interesting that he's helping them out because, I mean, potentially Atreus is his father. What do you think about that? Right. Because there's actually like a throwaway line that they say where where Mimir is like, he says he like recognizes you, or like you guys like look familiar or something. So it's shit. Yeah. So
they're probably gonna wait for that to be an oh shit moment in Ragnarok or something.
Yeah, seriously.
I feel like Ragnarok is gonna be so much longer. It seems like there's so much shit that's gonna happen still. Like this is just the very beginning. And I think initially I like had a small complaint that I thought this felt like a part one of a larger story. I don't really think that necessarily after like rewatching the cutscenes and stuff and having some time away from it.
I feel like the journey is pretty self-contained, like the story that of just getting the ashes to the top of the mountain,
I agree. I think it's pretty self-contained, but I'm really excited to see what Ragnarok does because like it could be like a Last of Us 1 and 2 situation where like you really can't have one without the other.
Yeah, I think this game does a smart job of like focusing on their journey to the mountain. But I think it does also a good job of like in the background, if you pay attention, it's setting up a lot of like details for like, what's going to happen in Ragnarok. They're pissing off Thor and Odin. They'd say at the end of the game, what they did in this game sped up the events of Norse mythology, and now Ragnarok is coming like in a few summers essentially, and like even
on their doorstep.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys know. So did you guys ever find any of the Valkyries in the game?
I fought one. Well, attempted to.
Yeah,
and lost miserably. Like
I did not
fight any of them.
Yeah,
not successfully.
And so I don't know if you probably don't know this, but so I fought all the Valkyries except the last one. I actually need this. The embarrassing to say, but I actually needed my brother to fight the last one because it was fucking insane. The last Valkyrie. But they're all really, really hard fights. And it was like I was like sweating bullets, fucking trying to beat these motherfuckers. But actually, at the end, you find out that Freya was actually the leader of the Valkyries. So
but that's a very interesting thing that you wouldn't know unless you 100%ed it. What the hell?
Yeah. So I mean, like, and then obviously at the end, when Baldur fucking dies, like Freya pretty much is getting set up as a villain for the second game, which I don't know. I guess we can talk about kind of like thought like what we expect out of Ragnarok, as a sequel. Like, where do we think the story is going to go from here, and what do we think what's going to happen? I guess I'll start off. So there's this one kind of fan debated thing that happens in the story of this game that people are like, what exactly happened here, right? And there's a scene where when Atreus is Atreus is sick and Kratos is taking him back to Freya's place, and they're going up the elevator back to Freya's, right? And Mimir is like, someone just like called the Serpent, and they never explain like who called the Serpent, and like what, like who, like essentially, yeah, like who called the Serpent, like who's able to talk to the Serpent, like and call them. And with like Norse mythology being like kind of non-linear, there's been like theories that it's actually Kratos and Atreus calling the world serpent. What, like like somehow they're like, it's like they're going back in time and calling the world serpent for something or some shit like that.
Bro,
like
while, is it gonna mind fuck us?
Well, have you guys seen Prisoner of Azkaban?
Yeah, it's been a minute, but yes.
I'm imagining it's gonna be like prison, or like literally a fucking Tenet, like where maybe they have to like go back in time and like change, maybe they're trying to stop Ragnarok from happening, and like maybe they're like trying to change like how certain things happened, but they're maybe trying to avoid their self from this time. Because I think someone actually asked the director like on a podcast, like who rigged the horde for the world serpent when this was happening, and he was like, I'm not telling you. Like he's like like there's something, like he was like saying, he's like, we set things up for for the next game, like there's some things that are intentionally not answered in this one.
Yeah, wow, that's fucking dope.
But besides that, like I think I would love to see some of the other realms, because like when you're in the travel room, not all of them are accessible. Like of the 9, there's only like 5 in this game, or 4. So I'd love to see the other ones. And obviously, I think it would be cool. I have a feeling, I'm making a prediction that the third weapon you get in Ragnarok is going to be Thor's hammer.
That'd be pretty cool.
Like, ice, fire, electricity. That's like the next thing.
Yeah, I can see it.
But yeah, what do you guys? That's kind of some of my. And obviously, Freya is going to be probably the villain, I'm guessing, with like maybe Thor. So that'll be interesting. And I'm curious if
Odin,
like
even.
Yeah, and because it is supposed to be the last game in the Norse saga, essentially. And I'm curious, like, is Loki gonna go evil like he is like in other stories? Like, what's gonna happen with that? Is Kratos actually gonna die? Like, I'm very curious to see how that plays out. But what are your guys' like kind of thoughts? Because I think they had the gameplay really set down really well. I think the story is being set up for something really interesting. And I think Ragnarok could be like another all-timer, in terms of like where the story is being, like, I think as long as they nail the story and things like that, I think they have an amazing foundation to build a sequel upon.
I just if they're gonna do anything with the combat, just make it better, because like it's so good already. And especially if you have like a prediction that like adding Thor's hammer, I feel like they could do a lot of cool combat with that. I feel like that'd be a very satisfying weapon to use. But yeah, I feel like they're definitely gonna go all out. I mean, God of War is the best selling game on PS4 exclusive on the PlayStation. So I mean, you got to follow up your best selling game with another banger.
Do you have any predictions for like the story?
I mean, kind of what you had said, like Freya being the main villain. I didn't know this stuff about Atreus, and that theory about Atreus and Kratos being the ones who called the world serpent. I never knew that. But I mean, it definitely, and especially Norse being non-linear, definitely a lot of possibilities for how it's going to go.
Do you think that I guess, would you prefer like a more straightforward story, or would you want like something that's like more time travel-y and maybe like getting a little mind fucky?
Maybe I mean, I love the mind fucky movie. So I mean, if I don't know, I think
branching
cool
timelines.
That. Yeah, I think that would be really cool, actually.
The multiverse.
If they do stuff like that, I hope that there's not too much replaying of like the first game, because I feel like there's gonna, like, with the way it seems to be going, it seems like there might be a little bit of that where like you're at least in the same area as the first game. But I hope there's not too much replaying, because I feel like it could
from the trailer. I rewatched the trailer for Ragnarok, and I saw a clip of like, there was a point where it looks like the Lake of the Nine is frozen now, and like they were like riding like a what are those things where like dogs,
like what toboggan.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
like
it's a
Kratos
bot.
is yeah, like Kratos is like riding that around on the Lake of the Nine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see, like, with how much time I already spent at the Lake of Nine, and that's just me personally. I'm like, I just hope there's some setting changes. But most of all, I hope with Ragnarok, there's some new fucking enemies, dude. There were
Yeah.
like 5 enemy types in God of War, and that's a small gripe. I think that's
Yeah.
another small gripe, and it's small because the enemies do change, and you have to kind of adjust how you go about attacking them because they do change, like with what weapons are most effective and what's most
Yeah,
effective
you
to go
can't just
on.
spam like one attack in this game.
Exactly. And the upgrade system is really robust and satisfying too, but like I hope there's new enemy types. Story-wise, I hope that I don't know. I definitely want to see Atreus fleshed out more as Loki because Loki's supposed to be the god of trickery.
Mischief, yeah.
Yeah, mischief, and like in every, like I have a little bit of Norse like exposure
Boner.
to, well, yeah, but a little bit of exposure just from like Yu-Gi-Oh, funny enough. And even in that, Loki is like the monster Loki is like a big clown. Like he's literally a
A
thief, like
trickster.
trickery. Yeah, a trickster. So I mean, we've gotten a sense that Loki slash Atreus is an asshole. So but I hope that's more fleshed out for sure, where like just his character development, because we got a lot of Kratos development and a lot of Atreus, but I'm curious to see where Kratos goes too, though.
Yeah.
What
So
do you, what do you think about like the story? I mean, this is like my thoughts. I don't know if this is like, but like, how would you want to see the story play out for Ragnarok, John?
it's hard to say, because I keep thinking back to like Thor Ragnarok every time I like hear it. I'm like, oh, I want to see like the end of the world like play out. But then again, like I just don't know how it would go.
What do you think
But
about the time travel potential that some people have
I
theorized?
I think you guys know that confusing stories aren't always my forte. Even though like Inception's one of my, like, an all-timer for me. Um I don't know. I hope it's straightforward enough that like you can at least get the main gist of it after like one playthrough, but I don't mind some mind fuckery in there. And I'm sure that it will be like some multiverse kind of shit where like I mentioned, like where I hope you don't have to replay too much. I think there will be moments probably where like Kratos is in an area and looking down at like Atreus, and Atreus shooting Kratos with an arrow. He'll be like on top of an area looking down at that, like, oh, we need to change that. Or like, oh, we need to not kill Balder. Like, we need to stop the Kratos of that time
Yeah,
from killing Balder or something. I don't
going to
know.
be a scene where like they're hiding from the fucking past versions of themselves or something.
Literally, I could see it. Now that you mentioned it, and like just the non-linearity, I don't even know if that's a word, but the non-linear aspects of
Lack of
Norse
linearity.
mythology. Yeah, I think it's a possibility, and that would be really cool. And it could, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be an all-timer. It's gotta be. It's gotta be.
It's
It's just gotta be.
I didn't know
Well,
God of War was the highest selling game on PS4.
I thought it was place. I thought it was PlayStation. Yeah, I thought
I
PlayStation
thought it
was
was
best selling game.
PlayStation.
I thought it was Spider.
Yeah.
I thought it was Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is third. It goes God of War, Uncharted 4, Spider-Man, and then
What?
Witcher. Oh, so I guess this
What?
isn't exclusive.
Wait, are you looking at a? I feel like that wiki. Are you looking at Wikipedia?
Yeah.
I feel like I remember looking at that once. Like, does it say Spider-Man is less than 20 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing like a while ago that like Spider-Man crossed like 20 million. That was like before Miles Morales, I think.
I was gonna say,
Let me
is,
look
like,
for a better
Uncharted
list then.
4 above those? I'd be surprised.
Top
Uncharted
10
4 above
best-selling
Spider-Man?
PS4 games of all time.
Yeah, because back in November of 2020, it said like Spider-Man had sold over 20 million copies. So maybe that list is outdated.
Well, see, now this list says that God of War is only at 12 million.
Yeah, I feel like there's not like an accurate number. I think they're both north of like 20 million, somewhere in the 20 to 30 million range.
That's crazy.
Which is still pretty good. Like
I was gonna say GTA 5 had to be up there. Like that wouldn't even make any sense.
I mean, just for reference, like the old GTA game, like GTA 4, like that's sold like 28 million. So that's just like a kind of a, like I think Breath of the Wild is sold like 18, right? Or
yeah,
like
where the fuck are they getting these numbers from?
I know Last of Us 1 is
Spider-Man 20 million, God of War 19.5, GTA 5 19.4.
Which is cap, I feel like.
It says this data is from August 2021.
No chance.
I don't believe that Red Dead, because I think Red Dead 2 has sold like 40 or 50 million.
Says 14 million on PS4.
Red Dead 2?
Yeah.
No way. Hold on. Now we're talking about numbers.
I'm on Statista.
Copies sold.
Fucking Statista. Everybody at UNO.
Yeah. Just for reference. Yeah. It said back in August of 2021, Red Dead 2 had sold 38 million copies, 39 million copies. So
why is it so hard to find these? Like Nintendo, you look it up and there's like a definitive number.
Yeah, Nintendo likes to give their numbers.
And I don't believe that
they do.
GTA 5 has sold
exact numbers.
I don't believe GTA 5 has sold less than Red Dead 2.
Yeah, this one list says list of best-selling PS4 games template, better source needed. Yeah, no shit.
It's all just like guesses.
Oh, I bet VG.
Oh, VG Charts is whack. There like multiple people have said that like VG Charts just pulls those numbers out of their ads.
I'd be surprised if God of War were above like Spider-Man.
I would assume Spider-Man is the most
staple.
Yeah, remember that's the reason that Microsoft bought Activision.
Yeah. Get back at those Spider-Man fans.
Yeah, the fucking VG.
Microsoft is operating the Daily Bugle. They are the Daily Bugle.
They are the Daily Bugle.
I'm actually looking at VG Charts too. I'm kind of curious.
I'm trying to too, but their website's so dog.
Yeah, they're better. Okay. Anyways, go back to God of War.
I mean, well, that's kind of a good transition though into like where it stands amongst the other PlayStation exclusives.
One last thing I wanted to kind of just talk about, one base with covering is like, what did you guys think of like the characters? Because I feel like it's a relatively small cast, and like I think what they did with Kratos was like super. I thought they handled Kratos perfectly. I think with Atreus, I think they turned the dial a little too far sometimes when they're trying to make you like think he's an annoying prick. Because I feel like he has his moments a little too often in the game. I think Freya is a really interesting character, especially her like relationship with Baldur and how she's just really trying to look after her son at the end of the day. And she's gonna make an interesting villain because she's an ally throughout this whole game. And then I also want to give a shout out to, I think Mimir is fucking hilarious. Like just the banter they have with him and the fact that he's just this fucking head with them. And I love his little stories that he tells, where if you just kind of spend some time on the Lake of the Nine, he tells a lot of interesting stories about Greek mythology. And then also
Norse mythology.
Oh yeah, Norse mythology. Fuck me. And then also I love the banter between the two dwarves, like how one is like super clean and then the other one is like, all about getting grimy and dirty, and they're always constantly like, oh, you let him touch it, didn't you? And then they just like keep like improving it to one up each other, and Kratos just fucking hates them. But what did you guys think of the characters? Like, I mean, I thought Kratos was the best one, obviously, but I thought Mimir was a close second. I really loved his banter and how he like was included into the story as this like all-knowing character, essentially, that knows everything. But yeah,
I felt like it was a small but like very effective storytelling cast, because like especially like as dumb as God, you just said their names and I fucking forgot.
The dwarves, the blacksmiths.
Yeah, the blacksmiths. As like fucking dumb as they are and like brain dead like banter that they have, it like adds to the character of the game.
Brock and Sindri, that's their name.
Brock and Sindri.
That's right.
But like, I mean, even the head gives lots, like if you pay attention, it really opens the story up, because I mean, it like you said, he tells the history of all the stuff, and it really adds to the game, especially if you start getting invested in the Norse mythology piece of it. It definitely bolsters that aspect for sure.
Yeah, I like the motherly aspect of Freya because even before it's told that she's the mom of like Balder, it's almost like she's like a cool aunt or something to
Yeah.
Atreus. Like I really like her. And Casey and like Casey really liked her as a character. Like she was one of her favorites. And I just thought like how that went with Freya and Balder was super interesting, and how like Freya would have been willing to die at the hands of her own son just to be like just to protect him and like and or just to make him happy and shit. It's wild to me. It is a small cast, but definitely good, like very well done. And I love Kratos and his development and the fact that he's like, I don't know, he's got so much more depth than the other games because he literally was just like a badass that was fucking everything in sight before
in
this
all sorts
game.
of ways.
Literally, yeah, like literally and figuratively. But and
One thing
Atreus, I actually like Atreus. And I like the scenes of him, like especially in the Ragnarok trailer. It seems like he's grown up a bit, but like there's moments where he's just got some cringe factor. And
we're
I'm glad
gods.
that
We could do whatever we want.
I'm glad that Kratos and it like just it plays into his fatherly nature a lot more, but he shuts that shit down really quick.
Yeah.
I like all the characters. They all do a really good job.
Yeah.
Atreus is one of the most annoying though.
Yeah. One little detail I like is that he calls him boy throughout the whole game, and then at the top of the mountain he finally calls him son.
Yeah.
Which I think is nice.
It'd be interesting to get a count on the boy. The boy count, boy.
Boy. Head.
Yeah,
what do we do, head? Head
boy.
Kratos.
He's
Kratos never
a little
using
demeaning.
People's names. Boy,
slightly
head.
Kratos isn't, he's not perfect. He's an asshole still.
Boy.
One thing I thought I remembered was kind of funny was while I was playing this game, I kind of got into Norse mythology. I remember like looking up like some of these characters. I remember looking up Balder, and I remember reading something about how like his weakness was a mistletoe. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Like, probably won't play into the game. And then
it does.
Yeah. And literally, yeah, his weakness when he punches fucking Atreus at the end is literally fucking mistletoe. And like, it's like those little details, like when Atreus has the mistletoe arrows and then Freya throws them away. And she's like, oh, these are dangerous. Don't be using them.
You need to destroy them whenever you see them.
Yeah. And like you don't realize why she says that, but then you realize it later, you know, if you're on a replay of the game.
I didn't even make that connection, but shit. See, it's a lot deeper than it seems even.
Yeah, there's a lot of good attention to detail. But I guess from there we can talk about like, yeah, where does this stand for you guys in the pantheon of like PlayStation exclusives? Because I'm gonna say this and tell me if you guys think this is a hot take or if you guys don't agree. But now that we're done with the PlayStation 4 era, essentially, I think actually the PS4 era was the best era for PlayStation, at least for exclusives. In my opinion, I think it actually beats out the PS3 era because I mean we did get an Infamous game. We got Ghost of Tsushima. We got Death Stranding, Horizon, God of War, Last of Us 1 and 2 were both on PS4. Uncharted Lost Legacy, like they really like. Honestly, I thought that might have been the strongest generation for any developer, like in terms of like putting out top tier exclusives. Bloodborne, like
I would say so, but also the PS3 just set the foundation for all of that so well. Yeah. It's like Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 started on PS3, and then that was kind of the groundwork for The Last of Us, and then The Last of Us was on PS3. But I would agree. I mean, there was a lot of heavy hitters on PS4, and I mean, I wish there would have been better Little Big Planet games, but that's
Little Big Planet
for another day.
So like, I feel like
fell off, bro.
It did.
Yeah. So when people say this is like the best PlayStation 4 exclusive, like that's like heavy fucking praise.
Cap.
I am personally not in that boat. But I wanted to talk about this. Like, what is like your, out of the PlayStation exclusives, the PS4 exclusives, like, how would you kind of rank them out of the ones you guys have beat? And like, where does this kind of fall amongst those?
Gran Turismo Sport number one.
Shut the fuck up.
No, I'm kidding.
I think this is in the top three, though. I think for PS4 exclusives, this is in my top three.
It's hard for me to say with certainty because I didn't actually get to play Spider-Man all the way through. But even in terms of like, if we're talking Spider-Man Miles Morales too, even though it was like PS4 and PS5, I would almost put God of War below Miles Morales.
Do you think you can give a top five?
If I think I could probably do that quick. Last of Us 2 is an easy number one for me. Yeah. And then it would probably be Last of Us 1 after that. And then
are we talking
PS4?
Yeah, when I was thinking top three, I wasn't thinking of Last of Us 1. Even though, yeah, if that makes sense. I was thinking just like PS4.
Okay, if we're talking just PS4, then it's probably Last of Us 2 at the top. Yeah, okay, and then maybe Spider-Man for me. Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And then it would be probably God of War, and then I guess Horizon after that. I didn't ever finish Horizon, but it's dope.
Spider-Man 1? Oh, Spider-Man 2018.
Spider-Man, I would have to rate Spider-Man 2018 below God of War, actually, because it just the way it went for me. I wish that I could have actually played through the last bit of it, but
John letting his curse of technology issues factor into his scores.
18 hours of gameplay thrown out the window from a save file issue.
Yeah, you didn't get to play the best part of the game.
I didn't get to play literally. I only got build.
Sinister
That's
6.
all I got to play. Yeah.
Did you bought it, right?
I got the PS5 bundle that came with Miles Morales with the Spider-Man remaster included. So maybe I'll go back and.
Does the remaster have the DLC
the new model?
Yeah, it does.
Have the DLC.
You should do the one with what the fuck's her name? The cat.
Black Cat.
Yeah, Black Cat.
If you guys
I actually like that expansion part.
I would actually, if you're ever trying to get a Spider-Man fix, I would actually recommend playing through the 3 DLCs that came out, because they're actually all like one big story, and it's like 5 to 7 hours of like new story content. And it's like its own like story essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
oh, that's dope.
Like it, yeah. And it's like a cool little side story that takes place after the original game.
I might have to do that.
Yeah, maybe in the lead up to Spider-Man 2. But what about you, Andrew? Like, where does this kind of stack in the pantheon of PlayStation 4 exclusives that you've been able to play?
I probably put it like in tiers. So like S tier would be like Last of Us 2, but Spider-Man and God of War, because they're all like very close on, especially on my like top 10 games of all time list. They're like all like clumped at the top.
Do you think you can rank those 3?
I'd probably say Spider-Man 1, Last of Us 2, and then God of War 3. But it's like the margins are so slim.
Depends on the day.
Yeah. And then I would put like in A tier, I'd put like Uncharted 4. I don't know if I would rank Last of Us Remastered.
Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy would definitely be A tier as well. I wish I would fucking play Persona 5, because apparently that's like a game.
It's fucking Persona 5. I'm 20 hours in, so I'm about 20% through.
Yeah, Jesus. I put Miles Morales in like an A tier as well. And then like Horizon Zero Dawn, I just did not like. So I'm not even going to rank it.
Ghost of Tsushima also stinks.
Ghost of Tsushima, I didn't finish that either, so I don't know.
Not stinky, but
it's so funny that Ghost of Tsushima didn't connect to you guys, because that was like so many people would like use that as a reference of like, this is better than Last of Us 2.
No, no way. That's cap.
No chance. That's
the cappiest cap that has ever been capped.
Well, guys, Ghost of Tsushima won the Player's Choice Award at the Game Awards. So
yeah. So did Halo Infinite the day after it came out.
Kind of funny how everyone had such a hard on for Joel. I mean, he's a great character, but like enough to completely shit on that game at first. So dumb.
Yeah. I have actually I played almost every PlayStation 4 exclusive. So I mean, I have a huge list. I even like typed it out, but I'd probably go from the bottom, and this is gonna be a long one. Actually, I'll kind of keep it a little bit higher up, but I'd probably say like Miles Morales. You know, this is like from my 9 range and up, right? I'll just keep it to that. Miles Morales a 9. I'd say Ghost of Tsushima 9. I'd get Spider-Man a 9. And then the 3 games that I would say is like 9 point, or like, we'll talk about this. I think Uncharted 4 then. I think Uncharted 4 is like at the bottom of like the top 4 or top 5. Which is like, it's funny because it's an amazing fucking game, but like there're just some other ones that are just even better. And then I would say for second place, actually, and I hope one day you guys can do this, but I would say for second place or third place, I would say Spider-Man, even though I think Spider-Man's a worse game than Uncharted 4. But I think honestly for second place, it is tied between this game and Bloodborne. Bloodborne, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember looking at that top 100 games of all time list on IGN, but Bloodborne was actually the highest of the PS4 exclusives. It was like number 18, which is pretty crazy. Bloodborne is fucking amazing. That Bloodborne is like a 9.5 for me. I know it's my brother's. Bloodborne is my brother's favorite game of all time. And Bloodborne is fucking amazing. So it's really tied between Bloodborne and God of War, I think, for second place. But I do, I can't say this enough. Like Last of Us 2 is one of the greatest games of all time. It's in contention for being my favorite game ever. So Last of Us 2 is the one that takes that top spot for me. And I think God of War is just below that. But let's get into our ratings and final thoughts really of this game. I guess John, maybe, or Andrew, do you want to start off? Or I guess, I don't know who wants to, I'll go. Okay. Yeah.
I'll go. Well, I think God of War is an excellent game. It's one of the best PS4 exclusives and one of the best games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys, we talked about for like an hour and a half. So, I mean, you can kind of go back and get my thoughts, but I think that having the first half of the game be so slow and like realizing that the first half of the game is so slow is like kind of what like knocked it off of my like top game of all time spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that kind of like it, and the fact that like that slow start almost like made me not want to play it kind of detracts from it. I mean, I would definitely, it's still an amazing game and one of the best on the PS4, and I'm really excited for Ragnarok. I mean, I probably give it a 9.5. I don't think I could give it a straight 10 just after like kind of like going back through it,
evaluating it a little more.
Yeah, and like kind of paying more attention to like stuff that like I don't really like that much. But yeah, I mean, I would give it a 9.5. I gave Last of Us Part 2 a 10, and I would give Spider-Man the first one a 10 as well. So I mean, that kind of fits in with my S tier ranking that I just gave. So yeah, I'd give it a 9.5.
Awesome. I'll go ahead and kind of give my thoughts now then. Yeah, I think, like I said, what I said at the beginning, this is a perfect example of bringing a franchise back into prime territory. God of War was a crusty franchise, I think, by the end of the PS3 era, and now everyone is excited for Ragnarok. It's one of the most anticipated games of the PS5, and everyone like lost their shit when they announced Ragnarok, when they showed off like the PS5 for the first time. I think the combat is one of the best in gaming. It's like honestly one of the best factors of this game. I think the way they handle the characters is like so well done, and very like restrained, especially like, which is a good contrast to how Kratos was in like, from what I've heard, like in the old God of War games. And I think how they like use the mythology is super interesting. I'm still don't know how exactly you go from one mythology to another. Like how exactly did Kratos go from Greek mythology to Norse? Did he just like walk on over? Like how did that work out?
I don't. That's weird.
I'm curious if they'll explain that. But I do think this is like an amazing game, and you know, I would say this, like I think it is like the second best game of 2018. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is like a 10 out of 10 and beats it out in that year. And I think like the reason like why I compare it is like the things that made me love Red Dead Redemption 2 are some of the things that take away from God of War. Like I feel like God of War, like John, you're saying, was like sometimes a little unnecessarily very gamey. Like I really don't think they needed to have like, I think some of the customization like was like kind of pointlessly in depth. Like there's like so many different things you could like attributes and things you could fuck with, and like all these like stats like leveling up and all this shit, which like I felt like like yeah, you really didn't need it. Because like I beelined the story this time, and I had never had an issue with like what my items were, things like that, and I was able to get every like almost every single ability pretty much just beelining the story. Where like like Red Dead 2 is like kind of like this really like uncompromising experience, which I feel like God of War like kind of took away from that with like some of the more gaming aspects of it. So I think it's like the second best game of 2018. I also think it's the second, tied for probably the second best PlayStation 4 exclusive behind Last of Us 2. But both of those things, like it's kind of funny how it falls into second place for those, because those other two games are like in contention for my favorite games of all time. So it's like, man, God of War just had to, in my opinion, come out any other year. It'd be like a game of the year winner easily. But the main problem that's going to stop me from like saying it's like a 10 out of 10 is I think this game does push the goalposts back a little too much. And look, every game does this. No game like Last of Us, like you think you're going to the capital. Oh, you got to go across the fucking country. Oh, you think the game's going to end in Wyoming at Jackson? Nope, it's going to go, like the games tend to do that where they push the goalpost back, right? Like a lot of things do that, like
video
TV
game thing.
video games, TV shows. That's common. I just think in this game it's a little more noticeable because of the one shot. You are revisiting a lot of locales like that over and over again. There's a lot of backtracking. There's a lot of times you go up to that mountain thinking it's going to be like the end of this objective of taking her the mom's ashes to the top of the mountain. And that's not the case. Like I always thought when I was first playing the game that was going to be the intro to the story, and that wasn't going to be like the entire overarching plot of the game. Like I said, one of my favorite scenes of the game is like that one shot from like when the shrine gets destroyed and then they fight and go down. But it's also one of the most infuriating because it's like another like, oh my god, they're pushing the goalpost back again. Like they're literally at the Jotunheim gate, and then they literally end up back in Helheim. So it feels like they're definitely drawing out the story a little bit more to pad out the length. And also, one thing I want to complain about is they reuse the troll boss fight too fucking much. Is like you fight the troll like 10 times in this fucking game. So it's like those small things, really small things. Like, I think it is a little gamey, which that's only a complaint when I'm comparing it to like why I wouldn't say it's like better than like Red Dead 2 for like that. But then overall, I think it draws out the story a little too much. And that's a complaint with the game that I have not been able to shake off since I played it in 2018. I've always thought that it pushes the goalpost back a little too much. But honestly, besides that, this game is like a marvel. Like the graphics are fucking amazing. The cinematography, the acting, like this is like a prime example, just like with other PlayStation 4 exclusives like Spider-Man, Last of Us, things like that, of like why PlayStation exclusives are like cream of the crop shit, when more often than not, when you're getting a PlayStation exclusive, you're getting a potential game of the year contender, and from there, even a potential GOAT contender. So I'm super excited for God of War Ragnarok, and I think this is an amazing game. Not one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't think one of the best games of all time, because I think there's a few other games that cross into that territory. Like I said, like Red Dead 2, Last of Us 2, the games that I think kind of beat it out for first place in those respective categories of like best game of 2018, best PS4 exclusive. But I think it's still like an amazing game, and I'm really excited for Ragnarok. I'm all aboard the Ragnarok hype train. I'm actually super hyped for that game. So I'm going to give it, kind of alluded to it earlier when I said it's tied with Bloodborne. I said Bloodborne was 9.5, which you guys should play. That I'm going to give God of War 2018 a 9.5 out of 10. So that's my score. John, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Well, I really do love this game. and I'm gonna be slightly more harsh on it, but not too much. I mean, like I said, we didn't talk about it too much, but the music in this, and we talk about the town a lot. It's stuck in my head. I love the music in this. I think it's phenomenal. I love like the deep bassy vocals and the main like God of War theme. I really like the lore of it and the cross between like Greek and Norse mythology, just with Kratos and him battling his past. Like there's a lot of really good storytelling in this. And I think even with the second part, that it could make this game even better.
Yeah, I agree.
Which not a lot of things I think can do. I think a lot of things it's like, oh, first part is it's the first part, and then the second part is the second part. But like, I really think this is going to be like they're going to be so complementary to each other, and my score might raise once Ragnarok comes out, and I might have to replay this too. I know I played it recently, but I've only given it one playthrough. I know these guys have. I know Andrew's at least attempted the second playthrough, and Ursul's done it 3 times. But I also know, Ursula, you said that your score really wouldn't change much between those playthroughs, so maybe that would be the case for me. But
what are your cons with it though, John?
my main cons are what you said, Ursula, but they hit so much. They hit harder for me, I feel like, just because of, and it might be how I played the game and how I stretched out some of the side content longer than I needed to. But when it takes 1 step forward and 3 steps back twice, like it literally does it twice, and it's so obvious and so in your face. It's like the game could be split into like 5-hour increments, like first, third,
every single attempt of trying to get to the mountain.
Yeah, and each time it's the same exact goal and it's the same exact thing. And I think that for me it was a little more jarring and a little bit more annoying having to go back and forth to certain places. And I, like you said, Ursula, like you fight a troll like 10 times, but that's like the enemies, all the enemies in the game. There's only like 5 different enemy types. And from what we've seen in like Ragnarok, it already seems like there's more than that. I feel like we saw a lot more different, or I saw at least 2 different enemy types in the Ragnarok trailer that I didn't see in like the first game. But like you said, like the visuals and the graphics are insane. Some of the best on PlayStation, especially I got to play it chef's kiss in 60 FPS in 4K my first time on PS5.
And I didn't say this, but the gameplay is like S tier, like one of the best combat systems in any game.
Exactly. And like you just said, the gameplay is actually like, besides for me, Spider-Man, I think this is like the most fun combat in any, well, actually Spider-Man combat isn't necessarily as fun as this, but like the gameplay itself, yeah, and the mechanics in it are a lot more fun, or they're both amazing. But God of War's combat is actually the best in all of gaming, in my opinion. But I can't shake the fact that it very obviously pushes that goalpost further back, and maybe Ragnarok will like, call back to those moments and make them a little cooler or like have more impact in the story. But that stuff does, for me, and the repeating of battles, it lowers the score just a little bit more for me. But getting the negatives out of the way, there's so much to love about this game at the same time that like you have to play it. Even if you don't have a PlayStation, get one and play God of War, play Last of Us,
if you have a PC, you can play this game now.
Yeah. You have to have a really good fucking PC to play this, or you could have an 8-year-old console and play it. Yeah, you could spend $1,200 on a PC, or you could spend $200 on a PS4. Maybe $300 now. But I mean, yeah, I've said a few negatives, but I really do love this game. I love the storytelling besides pushing the goalpost back. Mostly I love the character.
I like the character. Yeah, the character work is what carries the story.
Exactly. And I love Mimir, the head. I love even Atreus and his cringiness. Boy. Kratos is a staple in PlayStation, and luckily he'll live on for a long time as a staple in the PlayStation catalog, at least as a character. But yeah, I love the story. I love this, how simple it is, but how much attention to detail there is at the same time. I'm super hyped for Ragnarok. I'm gonna have a baby. I'm gonna have my own boy when I'm playing Ragnarok, so that's really hype. But all of that being said, the negatives for me lower my score by 0.5 from where you guys are at. I'm gonna give it a solid, very solid 9. If I weren't on the 0.5 scale, it'd probably be more like a 9.2 or a 9.3. Yeah, no, it would be a 9.2 for me. But for 0.5 scale sake, keep it simple. It's a very strong and solid 9.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think the best like comparison like is like, to me, it's like a slightly worse mythological version of Last of Us 1.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. So the average score 9.5, 9.59. That brings us to a 9.3 for God of War 2018. When Ragnarok comes out, we'll see if Ragnarok can beat that score.
We'll see if it'll be a certified 10.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun. Because if we do end up reviewing that one, I think that'll be like the first game that we reviewed that's also like, it just probably like just came out and we're reviewing it, instead of like kind of looking back on an older game.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's our kind of in-depth discussion on God of War 2018. I know some of you listeners have definitely played this game. Let us know if you think, where does this stand? Is this one of your guys' favorite games of all time? Where does this rank for you guys in PlayStation exclusives? Shoot us messages privately, send us messages on socials, let us know. But that's it. Thank you for listening, guys. And we'll catch you next week. Because we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about as always. So see you guys next week. Thanks for listening in. That's we're still signing off.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you guys for listening. Keep liking, keep sharing. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support. We got a lot of support on our last episode, and keep sharing if you enjoy. This is John signing off.
Andrew signing off.